Call this regular meeting of the Park Board, Park Commissioners for September 7th, 2022 at 1 Government Center, Council Hearing Rooms, to order at 5:17 p.m. Reading of the open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio, video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledgeable and permissible. Okay. All right. Roll call of commissioners.
Jeffrey Sylvia.
Helen Rigo.
Joseph De Silva, Commissioner Farias, and Commissioner Burns are absent today. Acceptance of minutes from August 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Citizen input. Do we have any citizen input, Ms. Smith?
No, everybody's on the agenda.
Nobody sent any correspondence or nothing in? Okay. New business. Item A. Letter from Maplewood Neighborhood Association expressing various concerns regarding Maplewood Park, Stafford Road. This letter was addressed to Mayor Paul Coogan, Police Chief Paul Garvin, DCM, Mr. Charles Demede, DCM, and Miss Nancy Smith, chairperson.
They think I'm the chairperson.
Yeah, she's not the chairperson, but Director of Parks. All right. So pursuant to the discussion of reference Maplewood Park parking lot, the following has occurred. The lot has been cleared of trash with the help of Mass Hire 12 youngsters under the direction of Mr. Timothy Griffin. They did a fabulous job. Bottles, bags, needles, personal items such as, what is that word?
Prophylactics.
Thank you. All in the wooded area along the back inside of the parking lot.
Let me spare you the
Yeah, why don't you do that, please?
Maplewood Park came in last meeting.
Yep.
They asked for a few things to be addressed. We addressed the trash in the parking lot. We addressed the barrels along Stafford Road, because I personally thought they were unsightly. Every time you went along Stafford Road, they were overflowed. They were smaller than a barrel in your kitchen. Didn't work, so we removed them. Many of the issues that they're asking for on this are out of the park department's hands. The police matters. They have vagrants in the parking lot. They have people dumping. We've done everything we can do. They wanted Jersey barriers. There's no one from the organization here today. They wanted Jersey barriers put across the parking lot. That's not going to stop people from dumping. And we're going to, as I said the last time, we have asked the people from Maplewood to use the parking lot so we avoid the issue on Albert Street. So we're not going to undo one problem, create another problem. We've done what we can do. Most of the matters are in the police department's hands. I mean, we've addressed the neighbors that are, the neighbors are concerned with dumping. Well, someone installed a fence in those new properties along Chicago Street, and they dumped the extra concrete into park property. Nobody's concerned with that dumping? I was a little concerned. So, I mean, we can't pick and choose what we're gonna do. The gentleman from the organization got a group to go there and do a mini cleanup. I went through that parking lot on multiple times. There are police officers there. They realize there is a situation. It's out of our hands. I mean, I'm certainly not gonna go there myself. I'm not a police officer. I'm not gonna go in there and try to throw people out. That's what the policemen do. That's what they get paid for. So, Chief Garvin is aware of it, the administration is aware of it. We've corrected the problem. There are signs there that indicate city ordinance and no dumping. Again, the barrels were taken care of. Mr. Commissioner Sylvia was here, as well as Helen, the last time they came in. So the problems that the park department can address, we've addressed. They want another sign, I'll put another no dumping sign. I don't think it's gonna make a bit of difference, but if it makes them happy, I'll put it there. The litter people are aware. So I don't know, without someone being here from that organization, what else they're interested in us doing. So I don't know if you want to table it, I don't know if you want to file it, or, again, refer them to the police department. My recommendation to them was to invite Chief Garvin to their neighborhood meeting and let Chief Garvin address the problems head on. I don't know what we're going to do about homeless people. I don't know what we're going to do about people dumping. That's out of my hands. So that's the recommendation I made to this group. I don't know if they're happy with that. So it's the board's pleasure of if they want to table it and entertain it and make sure they come back and address this. That's up to the board.
Before I speak, is any other commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Sylvia?
The last meeting we did address this with that group, they were here. If they would like to come in again, I have no problem with tabling it. And give them the opportunity. If they choose not to, then we can just place this on file. And, maybe from the board, send a letter to Chief Garvin, and asking him if he's attended their neighborhood meeting. And if there was any results from that. So I'll make a motion to table.
Well, I want to speak first.
Okay.
You have anything to say? You were here at that meeting?
I was there that day, yeah. I think we should table to have them come in.
Okay.
What they should do, they should invite the chief to their meeting.
You all set?
I'll say.
Okay, so I'm going to speak. Just last week, Ms. Smith was away. I got called from the supervisor, from Mr. Costa, to meet him at Britland Park and then at Kennedy Park and everything. It's a problem everywhere, especially right outside the police station. I don't understand how, right out their windows, that it was seen. I understand they have manpower and everything, but you had two homeless vehicles parked there with so much stuff in their cars and that. The guy was laid out in the back, right at the basketball courts at Britland Park. I went over to the truck, I'm looking, I'm like, okay. Mr. Costa ended up loading his truck, was it F-250? The whole back of it with someone's wooden fence. It was all cut pieces of wood and all other stuff. They had stuff in the trees, they had all, so God forbid if they were gonna use that to build a shelter there or burn that to keep warm or something, we would've had a disaster there. So I ordered him to get it all out of there, and I have pictures of it, of what his truck looked like. It was ridiculous. But it's a problem. I think my suggestion is we need to maybe the park department and the administration and everything, because now it's a concern to get everybody involved and have a meeting with the chief. And I know the mayor said they are working on it and everything, that it's a problem.
No,
That
it
you
is
got
a
homeless,
problem
they're
everywhere.
going everywhere, so.
It is a problem everywhere. Kennedy, they're living in the dugouts, and the league over there, they're playing, and and when they go there in the afternoon and night, early evening, to practice and games, they gotta clean the dugouts out so the kids are safe.
Yep.
I mean, there's all kinds of hypodermic needles and clothing and all kinds of stuff left behind in the dugout, and those are brand new dugouts at Kennedy, and again, it has a roof, so like you said, maybe they're using it as a shelter. But it is a problem everywhere, and I think we should. I'm not opposed to having a meeting with the police chief and other entities.
And other things people have discussed with me prior and that is, and I've even spoke to Ms. Smith about it, but like she said, the money and everything, but it is a police matter in it. I think they need to bring park police back and have a designated unit that is designated for the parks. They're doing the functions, they're doing everything. That's their jobs, they can maintain the parks. Because, like everybody says, oh, well, you guys are park commissioner, I can't go up to someone and tell them to get out of a park and everything like that. We don't have that authority to do that.
Nor do you have a gun.
Yeah, exactly, I'm not gonna try to remove someone from a park or something like that.
Well, I'm definitely not gonna do it.
Yep.
But
No.
I'll be honest with you,
Yep.
I don't think that this issue is anything that the park department gets involved in, other than the fact of telling them where we have the problem. It's a problem that needs to be solved. We don't have the authority or the power to do anything about it. It's something that has to be done legally, and unfortunately, these people, they're before the grace of God. You don't want them to be in that situation, but kids are in these parks. There are kids that come to these parks alone. They're young kids minded by another younger kid. So it's a situation that needs to be addressed. I think if, we have brought it to the attention of the police department, they are aware of it. So at this point, I believe it's between the administration and the police department to address that problem. I think the park department has done all it can do and all it has the authority to do by bringing it to the attention of them.
And one other thing I want to say, another matter we just dealt with today that I seen and told Mrs. Smith to have the guys remove it, and that we have people going to the parks. It was Lafayette, Kennedy, and Maplewood? No, Pulaski. They literally drove in to the pavement, poles, nail guns and that, with ropes and everything, and put up volleyball nets on city property without no permission and everything, and did this.
On
Destruction of
pavement?
property, huh?
On pavement?
On
Yes,
pavement.
on the old tennis
The
courts. I've
tennis
taken
courts
them
and that.
down 3 times. They're very
We've already
resourceful.
removed
I don't
them
know
all.
where they get their
We have
nets.
everything down at Kennedy.
I've
that
taken them down.
they
I got one
literally
set
did
of
this,
volleyball in the
and
Kennedy
without
Park garage.
permission, that we're gonna be renovating them tennis courts down there with pickleball courts. So is it someone gonna decide that they wanna take down the pickleball courts and destroy brand new property?
They took the tennis court nets down, and they had actually like winces, like, you reel a boat in,
Yeah.
tagging it to the fence so they were nice and taut. They had nails in the ground. I mean, the guys were there for a couple hours this morning, pulling everything. 3 parks that we did that to. And they're all the same kind of net, so I know that has to be the same group. So they never come looking for their nets, because I'm like the lady from Saturday Night Live, I got your net.
And then also, Ms. Smith got a phone call from a neighbor from the Pulaski Park area stating that they're going there, playing volleyball, taking down the equipment and that, putting this stuff up, bringing coolers of alcohol, which is not allowed in parks. But like I said, it's not our job. We cannot enforce that. That is the police department that has to enforce this.
Pulaski Park, the volleyball park is all sand.
No, it's in the back,
The back.
behind
No,
Jackson Street.
I went by Monday morning, I did a run, and the barrels were loaded with trash. When I say loaded, loaded. And I said to myself, I said, I wonder if something went on here that we didn't know.
But every week.
All right. So, what is your pleasure, guys?
I'll make a motion that, we invite this group in again, if they want to voice their concerns, other than, what they did the last time and what's in this letter, and explain to them what the role of the park board and the park department is. And again, I'm not against meeting with the chief and the administration or anybody else, and as a group to try and, figure this out.
Do you think the chief would come in the same day at our next meeting?
I would hope the chief would meet with us if we requested a meeting, or, the chairman. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
So what's the motion? We tabling this?
Table this, give them the opportunity to come back to us, the group,
Let's see if we can get the chief in at the same
and
time.
request, maybe a sit-down with the chief.
I would,
I wouldn't do to sit down with the chief at the same time with these people. If the chief is
No, no,
gonna
no.
go to their meeting, he can go to their public meeting. He doesn't need to come to our
Yeah,
meeting.
we
Yep.
can, I'm saying
So
we
if
can,
if the chief has information that he wants to give us, I think that's fine, because we've
yeah, one or
requested
two of
that.
us can,
Yeah, I
Meet with
think
the chief.
we should ask if the chief, they should ask, not even us, they should ask if the chief can attend their meeting. As I said to them publicly, your concerns, the lighting, okay, we can address the lighting, that's something that they didn't bring back before. The Jersey barriers, I think this board needs to make a motion and take a stand on it, whether they're gonna put the Jersey barriers there or not. We need to address these things one at a time, or, because if the board wants to create a problem and cut that parking lot in half to try to avoid dumping and create another problem on Albert Street, so be it. That's the board's decision. But I think at this point, he wants Jersey barriers. If this board knows that they're not gonna put Jersey barriers there, then the board should take this, pick this letter apart and say, we are not gonna put Jersey barriers there, or we will put Jersey barriers there. I think if you wanna put Jersey it's not gonna save anything, but I don't think more than one set of parking places against I've gone there. If you go in Maplewood Park, you can make that turn around, there's arrows there. You will cut out one set of parking places that are against the woods, that are the backyards of the houses. And we don't have Jersey barriers, so he's gonna have to get them from either DCM or somewhere else. But you'd lose a few parking places, but you'd have enough for the league to park. I don't believe that that should come halfway out. He's telling us we have 106 parking places. I don't think the neighborhood should dictate what we do with the public parking lot that we've paved and said we need. I understand the neighbors, don't want people hanging in there, but as we said, there's people hanging at Britland, there's people hanging at Kennedy, there's people hanging at streets that aren't even near a park. So the point of it all is, you want to try to see if that creates a barrier for dumping, that's fine. We can temporarily do it, because who's to say they're not going to just dump over the barrier and now we're going to have to clean up from outside the barrier. But if you want to say we've made an attempt, that's the only place that I would recommend Jersey barriers go. I would not recommend cutting that parking lot in half. That league is one of the biggest leagues in the city, and we have argued with them multiple times to get off of Albert Street. So now if you take the parking lot away from them, they have justification to park on Albert Street, and we've created a problem all over again. So that's, the lighting, I can have an electrician look at, that's number one. Number two, they think that things are going on in that parking lot that shouldn't be going on, that's police. 3, install the Jersey barriers. If you want to put it where the parking lot, the back, take away that last section of parking, that's fine. And then the signs posted, we've got more I make more signs. I think I keep the sign company in business. They want to park closes 9 p.m. The whole world, the police, everybody knows the park closes at 9 p.m. But if they want another sign, I'll put a sign there. But we need to address it. We can't just keep tabling things. If they don't want to come in, they don't come in. Someone should have been here. They sent a letter in.
I wouldn't recommend the barriers
I would
because,
withdraw my motion. If you want to take these one at a time.
yeah, if you want to do that.
What you gonna
Commissioner
do?
Sylvia withdraws the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rego.
It
So,
was already tabled. You got to lift it from the
yeah,
table.
you gotta lift
You just
it
did.
from the table.
I make a motion to lift it from the table.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia made that motion to lift it from the table, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, you made a motion to withdraw your motion. Yeah, right? Yeah. Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So getting to the barriers, I wouldn't recommend putting barriers there because, like Ms. Smith said, just last year, Maplewood hosted the Babe Ruth tournament. Where would all these people park?
It's going to create a problem.
Exactly. It's like, no, that's, and it's not only that, if the league takes up that parking, what if anybody just on a regular Saturday afternoon or something wanted to go to the park, where's people parking? They can't go park inside Ciaba's lot, that's private property. I think what it is, it's gotta be more policed.
I agree, I don't believe Jersey barriers is the answer. As Ms. Smith said, they'll just dump over there, and now you gotta go climb over the barrier to clean that area. And, you know, like cleaning a second area.
So then my recommendation would be to motion and second, so that this group knows we're not, if they wanna take it further than that, they take it wherever they wanna take it. But the park board's opinion is the barriers are gonna create an issue. So I would motion and second, and we can send them back this, because if not, we're gonna table, they're gonna come back with another letter, they want barriers. If the board's made their motion, that's it, you've pleaded your case has been decided, it's not happening. So that's what we're voting on. I would suggest a motion and a second, that we're not gonna put the barriers there.
Make a motion that we do not put Jersey barriers there.
Second.
Commissioner Sylvia made that motion to not put Jersey barriers, and seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I can let the board know that on number 4, I will make a sign if you want to post another sign that the park closes at 9 PM. I think there's one there, but I'll put one in toward the parking lot area if the board would like.
I'll make a
That to
motion
happen.
that, we post another sign.
I don't think it's gonna you're making a motion to post another sign. Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like I said, I don't think that's gonna help, but look at the dog
We've done worse
dispensers.
than $50.
We put dog dispensers and they bust them, and then we replace them, and they steal the bags in it, so it's the same thing. It's just vandalism.
And I can have someone look at the lighting for the,
Yep.
but I'm gonna tell you what, be careful what you wish for. Because when I light up the parking lot, it now becomes a hangout.
Yeah.
So, that's a catch-22.
Well, let me ask you this, does the lights stay on all night? Because
Security.
that's gonna be the other thing that it's blocking they can't go to sleep and everything. Because they built all the new houses
Security
right
lights.
Yeah,
along
then
the
we'll have,
park.
yeah, then we'll have the
So,
neighbors.
you
Security
know,
lights stay on all night.
Exactly, be careful what you ask for, because now they're gonna want the lights out by a certain time.
If I ask National Grid to put a security light there, that's the idea of it, security lights, they stay on all night. So, I can let them know that's what we're gonna do. And if they still wanna move forward with it, I can contact this group.
All right. All right. We all set with item
Is that
A?
what we wanna do, contact the group, see what they wanna do with the lights?
Yep.
Okay. Cause I'm not putting lights and then shutting lights off and
another
then putting
motion on
lights up. Nope,
All right. All right.
chase my tail.
We all set with item A?
Yep.
Okay. Item B, Roxanne Longstone with Justin Rakowski to address the board, Winter Wonderland, lights decorating event at Kennedy Park Skate Rink area.
I'm stepping in for Roxanne because she's not feeling it.
Okay, you just,
Linda Pereira, 99 North Ogden Street, Fall River, Mass.
Justin Rakowski, 9 Michael Street, Fall River, Mass.
Okay, so my understanding is that Justin and Roxanne came before the park board on May the 4th. And at that time, on May the 4th, it was spoken about lighting up Kennedy Park. And it was to do the skating rink area around the poles with wreaths and lights. And it was gonna run from December 5th to, December 4th to the 31st. Probably from the 5th, the 4th, because the Christmas parade is on the 3rd. So you don't wanna start it on the same day that they have the Christmas parade, too much. Entertainment, what was discussed was entertainment in the pavilion on Saturdays only with music, dance studios, children's chorus, etc. 4 selfie stations, and that's basically it. The pavilion to be lit, and I think when I watched the park board meeting, Nancy mentioned not to decorate low in the pavilion area because people could pull things down, but to decorate on top. and just decorate with garland and lights and have the pavilion done for different activities. At that time, Mr. Denmead was here, and Mr. Denmead said that he would hang the lights with DCM, that they would get the boom and they would hang all the lights and do that. I think Commissioner Rigo asked if the park department would pay for the lights, and Commissioner De Silva said yes. You know, and we talked about working together and, you know, trying to get something done. And I applaud Commissioner Rigo for bringing to the attention of the board, wanting to decorate and light up for the holidays. And I believe Commissioner Sylvia had said, you remembered as a kid doing that. And thankfully, there are people in the community who are willing to step to the plate to come up and to do things. Now, one of the things that wasn't really spoken of was about, you know, possibly having a vendors. Now, I don't know. Only entertainment will be on Saturday. So if you think on Saturday, a food truck, there was only one day that maybe we would do the hot chocolate, right? Was one day. And the Saturdays would in essence be 2 Saturdays, because the other 2 Saturdays are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So the park will be lit, but obviously they're not gonna have entertainment, people are with their families. So it will really be only 2 Saturdays where there'd be entertainment. And trying to get kids from different schools and local artists that maybe JT Music, he has a lot of people they'll play. And that again is only from the 4:35 till 9, because we do know that the parks close at 9. And the other thing that we mentioned, because we had a meeting with the mayor's office as well, and Mr. De Silva was there with Commissioner Burns, who's not here this evening, but there was talk about doing snowflakes. I know we had talked about 4 selfie stations. You had all gotten a picture of that. And those 4 selfie stations are being done by Diamond, the frames, and they'll be decorated. One is like a wreath, one is a snow globe, one is just a regular picture frame with maybe a holly leaf on it. And people can take pictures. Might have Santa Claus there one day. People can come and take pictures with Santa Claus. The other thing was a snowflake. They're out of wood, and they come in 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet sizes. But people can put a logo on that. If you wanted to put in memory of a loved one, if I wanted to put one, Happy Holidays, Pereira family, or if any commissioner wanted to put one, that they would charge for that, a sponsorship fee or a donation fee. And that money would go to the organization for them to have something else, maybe an event in the summertime, and do something like that. So when we talked about that, I think Commissioner De Silva said, well, I'm not sure if you can make money on the park. But maybe you can clarify this for me, because I'm confused. When we did the Vietnam Wall, every event I had down there, we sold things, we made money. So I'd like to know what the criteria is for one thing or another thing. I'm not sure. I know that the baseball leagues have banners, and they get money for banners. I have friends that have banners there. And I believe the rationale from the park board at the time was let them put the banners because they're paying for the electricity. Now that the park board is paying for the electricity, then maybe, you know, you need to visit that, but those banners, maybe there's a child who can't pay the full amount to play, and that banner helps to subsidize that. Or maybe the price of baseball bats or gloves or uniforms went up, and that helps to subsidize. I don't know. I mean, this money is not that anybody in the group, any of the volunteers are making money, but that money is to go into a nonprofit account that has been registered, et cetera, whereby they will have money to do different events. I know that Justin is doing a Halloween event on the 30th, because the 29th, Recreation is doing it, but he's doing it at the school, in one of the schools, so there's 2 rooms in the schools, and, you know, the school is open for that to be done. Last year, we had a Halloween event here in City Hall, in the atrium area. I mean, we didn't pay for anything. So I'm just like, how much money does the park board want, and what is the fee for everyone across the board. The backpack thing, nobody paid for use of the park. So I'm like, just help me to understand why some things are paid for, some things aren't, why
I'd
some
like you to
people
help
need
me to
insurance,
understand,
some don't.
because typically, everything should be paid for. But as you know, oftentimes, we're told that's gonna be, the backpack thing was supposedly a mayor-sponsored event. His name went on the permit. So that made it a city event. We don't charge the city to pay the city. Typically, every organization is supposed to pay $125 a day for the use of the park. They're supposed to pay for electrical hookups. We'll take the feast, for example. Every electrical hookup, they pay $60 an electrical hookup for every plug they plug into their, they
Whatever.
make a board.
Right.
Like an electrician comes and makes a multiple plug board.
Yeah, I've seen that board.
They pay that. So as far as the leagues, a counselor even questioned the fact, if we're now paying for the electricity, then why are the leagues keeping the banners? The banners are sponsors for the league, that is a 501c3.
Right.
And they are to be removed every night at the end of they were to be removed every night. We're talking about, and at this point, I'm very confused as to what this event is. I wasn't at that meeting because I was away. I'm hearing it's a month-long event. Now I'm hearing it's only 2
No,
Saturdays.
the only 2 Saturdays, Nancy, is gonna be when there's entertainment on those 2 Saturdays. Because the following 2 Saturdays would be the 24th and the 31st, so you're obviously not gonna have,
The
but
prob-
it'll be lit.
Right, and I have no issue with that being lit. Because, the thing is, because we used to light it before, and you're well
Right, I
aware of
remember.
that. And I don't know what Mr. Denby committed to as far as, but we have been the ones, along with the tree department and the park department, to string and I said this at that meeting, string the lights in the trees. We don't string the lights from pole to pole, and I said this at that meeting because the kids hang on the string of lights, and those globes that are probably $900 a globe
Right,
full. So what we used to do is we would buy a banner that we put around on every light pole, a Christmas banner, and we would light the trees, and we would light the top of the park building, which there's still lights up there. The building's rotten off the core, but the lights are still attached to the easement of the building there, or the eaves of the building.
and your
whatever.
building usually had 2 big,
Which are gone
Wreaths.
now. They had 2 big wreaths. I gave them to Chris Gallagher when they started decorating down here at Government Center. So those 2 wreaths, there used to be 2 big green wreaths with red bows. They came down here, and I don't believe they're
Never seen it.
operable anymore, but anyway, long
It's
story
growing
short.
roses.
The lighting, I don't see an issue with. The sponsorships, that's where we get into, we don't allow advertising in the park. And I understand it's a sponsorship, but now you're gonna have every event wanting to do these kind of things. And where do you draw the line? Where, you know,
well, how do you get around that, for the city to pay or whatever?
I-
Do I take out a permit? Do I tell the mayor to take out a permit?
I don't think the mayor should take out, either the city of Fall River is gonna sponsor the event, or a private organization is gonna sponsor the event. That's where you have to have, you can't say, oh, this one's not paying the 125. Oh, this one's not gonna have to go around from office to office to get a sign-off sheet to make sure everybody is knowing the project is going on. We're not supposed to do that. If we, you know.
No,
the
and I
reason-
agree with you.
The reason the sign-off sheet is in place is so that no one in the city of Fall River can say, I didn't know. No office can say, oh, we didn't know that was happening, or we didn't. The park department created the sign-off sheet based on problems that we've experienced over the years, where inspectors didn't go out. Oh, we
You
didn't,
need
we
fire
weren't.
inspectors or.
Exactly. So all of those inspectors have to go out. The park department has never waived fees. Other organizations, other departments have waived fees. We have never waived fees before. So why some people charge and some people don't charge, That's not a question for us. My thinking is if the mayor's name is going on that permit that he's getting the permit in his name, he doesn't even really need a permit. He's the mayor. But when it goes hand in hand with another organization and we're using liability insurances, recently I had a situation, we're talking about the backpack thing, where I got an email that said, who is this person? They shouldn't be using my liability insurance. The same two people, yourself and Mr. Vienna came in and presented two events to us. And with those two events, we used the same insurance policy. How am I to know that there was a separation of ways? I'm not gonna know that, but that liability, we didn't use the liability policy because the mayor was in on that event, but had I used that liability policy, what would have happened if something happened over there? And the person said they had no right to use my policy. It's a very complicated, as much as it seems very.
I think that you need to figure out what all the rules are for everything and stick to it, and nobody can get deviated from it.
That would be
Because then
wonderful.
it just causes confusion. Because, you know, I remember, I watched the meeting, and I would urge you all to go online and review it. But, you know, Commissioner Burns said, I'm extremely happy that you're doing this event. And she said, you shouldn't have to use your own money. People may not like me saying this, but you shouldn't have to use your own money. The city should be paying for this. Well, when the city's strapped and the city can't pay for it and isn't willing to pay for it, but you have volunteers and a team of 30 people who are willing to take plywood and cut out snowflakes and decorate it and paint and put glitter on it and do all of that. Well, so you expect a person to be able to do that, these sponsorships, and maybe it's just you give a donation and your name goes on something. It's not even a sponsorship, but we're having a fundraiser for the event, so anybody that buys a ticket or sponsors.
Well, I think if you wanted to make a sponsor board and put one thing with all your sponsors on it, that's something that you could do. But when you're gonna be putting this, I know your idea
Yeah.
is to decorate by putting a snowflake everywhere, but I can guarantee you that I will be
snowflakes
picking up
won't
those
last.
snowflakes every
People will be,
morning.
vandalism will
I
occur.
will pick them up I'm not gonna say they're vandal, I will be picking them up every morning. My men will come out of that building and pick them up every morning.
But you know, Nancy, it's very disheartening.
It is very
When we want to do beautiful things in this city, like are done in
It's always
every other
vandalism.
city. And there's always, well, we can't do this because this bad thing is gonna happen, or this bad thing is gonna happen.
This is my thing, Linda. I think we should start off small. I think with this event.
Well, we did, we scaled way back
way
from
back.
the original idea.
From what I'm hearing that was brought back, from what came to us was decorating lights for selfie stations, because I did watch that meeting. It was decorating the park for selfie stations, maybe a visit from Santa Claus, and we will build on that. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
No, and there was also that there would be entertainment on the Saturday evening.
They would try to,
That was
they
it.
were hoping to do that. So
Right.
this was not something that this board had originally carte blanche to everything. We went with the lights, the selfie station, and I know that that's what was voted on. And then when it went to the council, it went to,
It never came to the council.
no, but I'm saying when it was discussed before the council, it was discussed at a council
Was
meeting.
not, never discussed at a council meeting, Winter Wonderland.
It was discussed with the ice skating, right?
When it
No,
came,
what was
citizen input.
discussed was the ice skating rink. Winter Wonderland was never discussed. I put in a resolution for $325,000 from ARPA funding to look at doing an ice skating rink, a temporary one, because you know and I know, and people here know, that the mayor would like to do the whole rink. So if we're gonna spend $4 or $5 million on a whole rink, we'd like to know what the usage is, what was going, that was my thought process. And I couldn't discuss that with anybody till I knew I was gonna get the $325,000, and I still don't know that that's gonna come through, but I do know that there's a problem with the electric, because if we used a generator, the generator would cost us $13,000 a month to do it for 3 months, $800 to transport, and it would take diesel. And your people, I think, some of the board members, or perhaps, I mean, Nancy's saying it now, commingled the two. Justin and Roxanne have nothing nothing to do with the skating rink. Their only thing is to decorate, and to decorate in a way to get some revenue. I mean, they'll be here every day, we'll come by, your people don't have to pick anything up, we'll pick it up. But Mr. Denmead said they were gonna string the lights, and they were
And we
gonna,
usually did.
do
I
all
have-
of that.
I don't have, and that definitely has to be done, I believe, in-house because of union issues,
Right.
because of things of that sort. So I have not spoken to Mr. Denmead about it. In the past,
He
we
doesn't.
have done lights.
I spoke
As
to
for
him
the,
today.
as for the question of sponsorships, I don't know how that would work. I don't know whether that has to come before the board, whether we have to ask the corporation council, because I don't know how that would work.
Now, on these, obviously 2 feet is only this big, so this band is gonna be literally a foot long. Could we do just the name with no advertising, just SOG, and maybe put that QR code? So if someone wants to go up and scan it, now they know Columbia Street's right down the street, and they can go for a nice dinner or a TA restaurant, JJ's Hot Dogs. Could we possibly do something where it's not gaudy, it just says JJ's Hot Dogs and their QR code?
Well,
So now
I
somebody
do,
can go up, scan the code, and possibly go over to JJ's to spend some money in the city.
I do know that the board has no regulations regarding, they do have no advertising in parks. Now, that's advertising. Now, whether you're doing it for two weeks, whatever it may be,
well, the
that's
park will be
different.
lit up for the month.
Right, but I'm saying the advertising portion of it, because the park has no, the board, and I don't know any regulation that's not gonna allow for the lighting of the park. The only thing we have to work through here is the sponsorships and how that's gonna work, because A, the board has no advertising. B, the board has regulations that pertain to ball field advertising, which is,
Yep.
the no smoking, no liquor, like,
No liquor, no tobacco products,
no
and,
tattoos or piercings, because that, and the logic behind that, and it's in the regulation, is because there are people under 18 years old
who frequent the park.
who frequent the park. So that was why those particular items were taken out of what could be done. It's the board's pleasure if they want to make an exception to whatever their advertising rule is, or what, it's not me. All I'm saying is, how do we know, because you're like, all right, these, people want to, collect money to use this for, are you a 501c3, you have all
Yeah,
your
they're on, the
50,
Yes.
paperwork is coming through right now, they're a nonprofit, and the paperwork should be in by December, they have an attorney working on it.
Okay, so with the 501c3, I know that, with the leagues at least, you have, when someone gives you a donation, you have to give them a letter. So it would allow a system of checks and balances, so the taxpayers will say, okay, if this is actually a joint effort, the taxpayers know who's paying for what is the city responsible for paying, what type of, because a 501c3 is exactly that. That's why we want our
Right,
leagues to be
exactly.
501c3. So you are an open book with your financing, with your your income, we used to, and we never got it, former boards have asked for, you want to have an event in the park, you can have an event in the park. At the end of it, we used to call it a cherry sheet, which is your expenses. These are my expenses. We used to get handwritten notes. This is my expenses, that's not what we mean. We want to make sure that the dish is not running away with the spoon. That's what the safeguard of that was, and it never happened. So like you're saying, are there regulations in place? There could be a million regulations in place, but if no one's making them happen and making the paperwork come in, what good is the regulation? You better, to me, I would just as soon not have the regulation on the book if we're not gonna enforce it, because that makes my job more difficult. I end up the bad guy. If we're gonna put the regulation in place, then by all means, let's enforce it. So, I have no issue with the decorating. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but how it came back to me was this ice rink was gonna come in this December, was gonna be a temporary thing, we were
Nope.
gonna make $300,000. This is what came full circle back to me, and I'm like, phew, I don't know anything about
You
that.
should know Fall River much better than that, Nancy.
Well,
What
I
you
just
did
said I
comes
have
back
no idea.
Full circle is usually from negative individuals, and you should have called me because I would have told you exactly
Well,
what
it
was
really-
wrong.
it
But
really
some
never
board
came
members
to me.
were starting things that this
Right,
was
it really
this way,
never
that,
came
and it
to
wasn't
me,
true.
and now it's coming back. So that's why we're here, to find out what exactly it
I mean,
is.
that's the only thing, nothing has changed from the lighting to the selfie stations, et cetera. The only thing was to put some of these, and decorate the pavilion, and to put, some of these snowflakes, to make it look pretty. They glitter, the lights would glitter on them, and they're not something that, if it was destroyed, we could do another one, make sure that they're in, that they're secured. And that was it, and just to put, I mean, it might not even be an advertisement, maybe you wanna put one from, your own family, from Commissioner De Silva and family, happy holidays, whatever. To put that as a way to be able to recoup some of the expenses. And, I mean, I think it was you, Commissioner Silva, that at the end of the meeting said something to the effect of, everybody's gotta leave their egos at the door. And we've gotta work together, and it's gotta be, it's gotta be something where you have DCM, the mayor's office on board. Elena, we have the meeting, because Elena's on board, DCM is on board, Parks on boards. I think Commissioner Rego was right. She came out with wanting to do this before, because she knows how nice it looks, and you said the same thing, Commissioner, that you remember. So we want to do this, and we want it to look nice. It's not gaudy decorations, it's not a gaudy scene. I think it'll be very pretty, and it'll be lit from 4 to 9. The only time that we'll have entertainment will be on those 2 Saturdays. And it would only be from 4 to 9, 5:30 to 9. And it's incorporating the children of the city, musicians from the city, the chorus from Durfee, those types of things. If you need a list of what events are happening, we can provide that as well.
We would need that.
But we can't stop planning or doing anything until we know, can we do this? If not, we have to think of different fundraising. Or then again, go to the city. What is the park department willing to give us? What is the mayor's office or DCM willing to give us?
I think that's what has to
And they'll
truly
give
be
us
done,
money.
so he knows exactly how much he
Yeah.
needs to do. If the park department and the tree department and the cemetery department and whatever are gonna string the lights, that's something that's now off his list of things to do.
Right.
So he's not gonna have to worry about the expense of that. I think that I don't think anyone has an issue with the decorating of the lights. I think what we need to pan out here and figure out here is what's gonna happen on those 2 event days.
Yep.
And
The
if
2
you,
event dates, the pavilion is gonna be used for music. Children will come in and sing a song. You might
and the
have,
liability insurance is coming from where?
we will
Because-
get the liability insurance, Donald Madeira's insurance company will give us a liability
And it's
insurance
gonna
for that
go,
month.
is this through, what the?
It's gonna be through Creative Community Visions.
So that's a different organization than
That's the
what you
organization that
originally
this
had.
is under.
Okay, that's a different
And
organization.
it will come through them, and Mr. Donald J. Madeira's already knows, and we can get the insurance off of him. And, the reason to just cut some of the expenses, and like Amber said, this should be a job that the city does. This should be something that the city does. But like Nancy said, when you go from 40 workers at the park department down to 10 with additional playgrounds that have been built, so you have 10 people taking care of 29 pieces of property, playgrounds and parks. Listening to you before, I'd even put in a resolution upstairs at the council meeting that some of the ARPA money be given to the park department for you to install cameras around your parks. That might help you. And if you're getting nets all over the place, maybe we need to think of putting up some volleyball nets, because obviously there's some people that want to play that, but
Yeah, but
there's just
obviously,
so much, it
obviously they're
stretches.
following the wrong pattern here to
Yes.
come in and just destroy the property.
Of course they shouldn't do that.
Ask for something before you come
Absolutely.
in. They're literally drilling into the
That is
asphalt.
ridiculous to be doing that, and just
Using
trash.
nail guns with nails to.
Yeah,
drive
that's
into the
crazy.
pavement.
So we're getting
Trash
off,
is crazy.
off
No,
track.
but go ahead. And that's the only thing. I think that if they're allowed to just put up these, these snowflakes, no more than 20 snowflakes around, it just kicks it up a notch, and it would help to defray some of the costs, because money is tight with everybody. So that's the only thing. Everything else is the same. And option to start decorating, start doing the lights. a couple of weeks before. Obviously, you're not gonna do it on the day that you're opening.
Well, I think you're gonna
And
have to do them
DCM.
early,
Yeah,
you
early
know,
no-
mid-November
Absolutely.
to, early to
That's
mid-November,
what I was-
That
because
was
there's
our
gonna be a
thought.
bunch of things, and you gotta hope that there's not gonna be a storm, because if there's a storm, then
Then
Charlie
you have to
Denmead's
be
guys
back.
are not gonna be hanging lights.
no, they'll be plowing snow,
So,
but that's it.
Yes.
what was circling and what came back is very different than what you're saying right now. That's
That's
all
why
I'm
I
gonna
felt the
say.
need to come, because from what I watched at the park board meeting and what I heard at a meeting upstairs in the conference room was totally different. And I have never been to a meeting conducted that way, I'll be honest. And I've been to many, 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 many meetings in 20 years.
I wasn't at that meeting.
No, I'm glad that you weren't. I was sorry that I was there. But I just think it's a way to generate some money without, grants. I mean, and they're gonna try to get some stuff, because honestly, Sandy and Dave Dennis have gotten wreaths from Wreaths Across America. They wanna work with everybody. Roxanne talks to Sandy, maybe she can get some of those wreaths too, with the connections that she has. And she's great at decorating as well, so we're looking at doing that, but to be able to buy the materials. And one other question is about the bathroom. Do we have to get a porta-john? Or can we open those bathrooms just on Saturdays? Do we have to have somebody there? What's the board's feeling on that? Those are
You
the
need a
two.
union person in those bathrooms. That's been brought to the union.
So we'd have to pay a union person to be there for 4 hours, or get a porta-john?
Yeah, if you get a
Okay.
porta-john, you don't need the park worker.
Okay,
If you open that building, you need a park worker.
all right, so we'll have to get a porta-john.
Now, because
And
of,
the Board of Health,
We'll
that's why
inspect
you go
that
around, no, the Board of Health dictates how
How
many
many.
porta-johns you need based
on the
on
number of people.
what you have going on in the park. But that, again, that is the
Yeah.
reason why we have this sign-off sheet. What are you doing? What are you having? Are you having a stage? Are you having a generator? You having, that's where that paper going around with the people who are having the event. For me to bring it around, I go, oh, I don't know if he's having a generator. Oh, I don't know if he's doing a stage. It does us no good. That's why we have the organization go around, have someone in the department has to sign off. So someone is responsible for saying, yes, we were notified. And if you're supposed to send inspectors out because you know they're having food trucks or vendors or something, that health department or whatever, knowing the porta potties, they need to go out and inspect. They are made aware of it. So
All right,
that's what
so
the
the
civic
porta-johns are all
events.
set, we don't even need that.
and then
Okay,
one of
porta-john.
my other thing, just to kind of bring people down, I did talk with Patty Rigo, that runs a lot of the food truck events, possibly maybe doing a few Fridays, or maybe Joey made a.
Okay, now
Crystal
you-
De Silva.
You
But
went from
that's
2
a-
Saturdays to a few Fridays.
No, but I want to make sure, because this was originally discussed, use for the weekends. So I don't want to leave, like if the schools.
Patty out, Patty would be doing it,
Yeah,
not him.
so I already reached out to Patty, she would be interested in running some kind of food exhibit through there with a few food trucks.
Why wouldn't you do that all on the Saturday? That would be
Well,
like the big attraction,
wanna-
rather than,
yes.
some people are gonna come here on Friday, then they're not gonna come back on Saturday. My opinion is, we all said we're gonna work together.
Yep.
So why don't you contact Patty, and on the 2 Saturdays that you got, that's when if you're gonna pay for the permit for the
Yep.
park, and you're gonna pay for a permit for the park on Friday, you're gonna pay for a permit for the park on Saturday. Rather than have 100 people on Friday and 100 people on Saturday, if you're looking to truly make this a Christmas event and whatever, and your selfies, to me, that's when you got your food trucks, you got your music, you got your selfie places, on those 2 Saturdays. You make it an event.
I didn't talk to Patty Rigo, so.
No,
I don't
I'm
know what he's talking
I'm
about.
directing that to you.
I was
that's
just
good.
thinking for more days than one, like,
I
not
don't
to have
think more days
entertainment.
I don't think more
but
days is gonna make
just for
you.
people in the park, like if you go to Stroller Park and you want to get a hot chocolate, and there's a food truck that provides it, like that would be on the city's end, and Patty would organize that with the city. But I was just thinking it would be a nice gesture to have something there.
I'll be honest with you,
Well,
I
if
think if
you
your
wanna do it all
ice is
on a
not
Saturday-
frozen, I think if your ice is, that's different, it's a whole different thing, if your ice is not frozen, your 1-day event, I think, is going to do what you need. I don't think you're gonna get the stroll through like you get at La Salette. You got one little circle
No, but we'll
there.
get what we get at Taunton Green, without a doubt.
Well, that's I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's not up to me.
Yep.
I personally would.
But
I would-
Nancy's saying if Patty
Yes.
wants to do food
Do it
trucks,
all on
then
the Saturday to
do it
make
all
it
on the Saturday and
easier.
make Saturday.
Absolutely.
I
Like a
say
big
make
event.
it one big event, and you do it on those two
Yeah.
Saturdays.
Yeah.
And then your second Saturday, if your first Saturday is successful, your second Saturday is gonna be twice as successful. And you'll know whether you need to add something or another truck or whatever to that point. That's my opinion from what's gone on and what I've seen gone on in parks. When you try to stretch things out sometimes
It
too
hurts.
Yeah.
it hurts you. And you're gonna pay for every day that you wanna put something in that park. Now, like I said, if the ice is frozen and you wanna bring in one hot chocolate truck, like they bring in an ice cream truck in this,
The
that's
only way
something.
the ice will be frozen is if you put water in it and it's cold as heck. That's the only way it's gonna be
And those
frozen.
trucks have to be licensed.
Yes,
Right.
it would all be through the city's, I
Patty
got the
would do
city's
it.
email list, and Patty has the
No, the
city's.
food trucks have to be licensed
Yes,
food
they're all,
trucks.
Yeah.
it's all through,
Health.
Maplewood,
Yeah,
Board
through
of
the
Health
health.
centers, the,
My opinion is, as we said, start off slow, make it a collaboration, work with Viva Fall River, and then you put them
Yeah.
all together at once. And then you know whether you can, I mean,
So our only question is on the
Sponsorship.
signs. And
My-
it doesn't
my-
need to be
my
to advertise the
recommendation-
business.
My recommendation for the signs, that way you don't have, nobody can say vandalism in it, allow it. But my suggestion is, you used to put all the wooden cutouts all along the fence. Have them all on the fence, on Broadway, all your sponsors.
I don't think that's gonna do what they wanna do, though. They
No,
wanna
'cause
make
you
it.
Yeah, I
wanted
know
to-
that,
no, but
But-
it'd give us a way to sponsor and,
Are you putting
But you get all
rebar,
your
is that how you
sponsors,
hold
put
on
all
to
snowflakes all over the
because the
Broadway.
original,
John
the
Ross.
original map
Snowflakes across the
shows,
fence.
The only problem with that is now, next thing you know, the
They
fence
have the
is a
sponsors
disaster.
Yeah, Charlie said
And they have
rebar, so that way if you
sponsors?
put it in the ground, it's
They
better
can't
than on
pay
the
for that.
fence.
And the
But,
sprinkler system
Could be
is
state-
damaged now, so what does it
a
matter?
But
foot
I-
off the fence line, going up Broadway.
No, what we wanna do though is.
You mean in the park or outside?
Well,
In
they'd
the
have to
park.
be in, because
In
you
the
have
park.
a sidewalk there.
You can.
You're only gonna have about 20, 30 little signs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our original recommendation was 10 of each size. So
Yeah.
there'd be 10 2-foot, 10 3-foot, and 10 4-foot.
Yeah, in that whole area.
So
So,
if-
there's a lot of them.
What is that, the snowflakes?
Yes. And I should have brought, we do have one made for us, and I forgot to bring it, because.
I'll show it. It's
The
about
2-foot
like
one's
this.
only.
I have a question. Here's a
2 by 2.
question for you.
Yes.
With your sponsors, and this would put it almost to bed. How difficult would it be for you to put your snowflakes out on your Saturday events? And take them out after they're done?
I mean, we could do that.
It's
That's
feasible.
But I
then-
think it's
then
gonna,
that's
I
no-
think the rebar's gonna damage your lawn more so than leaving it there.
Yeah, well, I'm just asking the question, because then that's no different than the baseballs having to take them in.
Right,
And what's the fine
Which
for
they
not
don't.
taking it down because the
Which they
baseball
don't.
leagues don't? I might just want to pay the fine.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but, no, it is feasible because there's a limited of them, and we got 30 volunteers, so one guy takes down a snowflake.
That's
Type deal,
just
or
a
one person, I
suggestion
should say.
to avoid the vandalism, to avoid you having to
Yep.
do the snowflakes again. I don't care if it's something the board wants to leave there the entire time, because you're saying it adds to the ambiance of the lighting.
It does, but
that's
if
fine.
if we see
If
that,
you ask me, they're only gonna be there for 3 weeks, because you're almost
Exactly.
taking them out.
Exactly.
But that's, the point of it all is it's advertising.
Yes.
right. Well, not necessarily, because I could put one,
But,
I could make a donation and put one in memory of my parents.
yeah, but it's still,
Not advertising my parents' death, it's
The theme
just,
is on sponsorship to alleviate some of these costs. Obviously, it's gonna cost us a few $1,000s in lights. We don't know where we're at with police, we don't know where we're at with permits, and we came here in March, so it's. May, sorry. I always get them two names confused. So, it's just, if we kinda knew where we stood, and I thought we were further along with some of the city offices, and maybe we're not, but that would just alleviate a lot of my problems, because I can make phone calls tonight, and tomorrow I could probably raise the money through sponsorship to support the park and our decorations. So that's the only reason behind it. It ain't to make $1 million, because believe me, at
Not
30
gonna make it.
snowflakes, you're not gonna make, you know what I mean? It's basically to cut the cost, and if we have a little extra, we can donate to another children's program or bake it for our next event, because just starting this new nonprofit. It's based around community events, and we will be looking to do 4 or 5 big ones, obviously, we got Halloween
And
already.
so here's my question, so you're telling me too, you're willing to say, this is what I made in sponsorships, and this is, are you willing to do
Yeah.
that, so that people are?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Open book?
this is all,
So to me,
for us
you
to
got, if you,
continue doing this isn't a one and done,
you know, I just think that when we go into these things and people start to say, well, how much did they make? That's the first thing people are gonna say.
Yeah.
And again,
I think that's a great idea, and you should have that for every
everybody.
organization that does stuff.
they're supposed to.
Well,
We've been asking.
well, then if they don't do it, they
We'll
don't.
be totally
get to do
transparent.
it next time.
Please, Linda.
You will be totally, we'll
Please,
be
if they
totally
don't do it, they
transparent.
can come
Not just
back?
me, I've seen former
Yeah.
chair people
Yep.
ask for that and
Yeah,
get nothing.
I know, it's a tough
You know the full
job.
circle you told me about?
Yeah, I know, we had this conversation.
Yeah. That's like me telling a league that if they don't provide the information I need, their 500 kids are not gonna play.
Well,
How many
that-
times
yeah.
has that happened?
Talking
Then they
about-
call me
Talking
and
about
complain
sponsors.
about you.
There you
Talking about
have it.
sponsor stuff. City land, Park Department property,
Yeah.
the baseball fields at North Park. Shouldn't you think the city should have got that check from a healthcare place to have them banners, them signs permanently up there? We never got that. That went to the league that defunct. But the signs are still up there.
And when I asked the league for the contract, they didn't give me a copy.
So-
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
another,
All right.
another story
Yeah.
for another
Well, we'll
day.
try to
The
be
board
trans-
meeting-
And they
More
knock things
transparency.
down without telling you, then you spend $1,500 to go fix it. I understand. Been there.
So we're talking 2 dates. Do we know the dates?
It would be,
The 10th and the 17th.
Yeah. When they'd have entertainment, other than that, would just be the light up and
the other thing too
Snowflakes.
is, that was brought up, that last backpack event, was from the former commissioner, but now he's the building department. All generators have to be ground.
we don't have a generator.
All right, I'm just saying, if there, any
Yeah.
generators
Yeah,
have to be
they were
used.
grounded at Kennedy
All
Park.
right, I know.
He
That's-
did come around,
that's-
Bishop
yeah.
did come.
Yep, they had to come and do that,
Thank you.
because that was something, I even asked them, I said, well, what about the fees? Does the fees do that? And they like, that building, that's the old pump stick, that is a whole setup, and that's what they have to go through. That's why the fees get,
So,
doesn't have to use
just to
generators.
clarify, Charlie Denmead said he
Yep.
would, his people would be able to do the lights.
Yep.
Can I make a comment about that, please?
Yes.
We need to make sure we talk about that coordinated effort sooner rather than later, because it's the same people and the same equipment that are gonna do the city Christmas tree.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what we went through
Right,
upstairs.
that's why we were going with
Right.
longer. That's why
Well,
we were
that's what I'm
going with the
saying,
past two.
early November for their lights.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, we just.
ours can go up earlier, because I know the tree goes up later.
Well.
We're aware of that
Yes, we
tree.
will. We're definitely taking
That's
that
why
into
I'm
consideration.
saying,
I
so
won't
I'm
talk
gonna
to
talk
Charlie
to
about that.
Charlie for the lights,
The last thing
yeah.
we wanna do is take city resources, but we understand through the parks and through the unions, we're only physically able to do so much.
Yep.
So obviously, I can go over and put a snowflake on the ground. Am I allowed to go up in a bucket truck? No, not at this point. So that's
Not at
where
any
we would like the city's cooperation that they basically said.
Although they said,
to
if
a
we
point.
had a bucket truck and we were willing to sign a waiver that was approved
I don't think that's
by
the
the law
case.
department.
But the
But
other
what
thing
happens
too
is,
is,
Remember?
yeah, I
I
know
would've
that was
gone with a
brought, that
bucket
was
truck, I
brought up,
guess.
but then after we were thinking about it, and I was even talking to Ms. Smith about that. You have, say Justin signs a waiver to put these things up.
Right.
Now, he's not gonna sue the city, whatever, but guess what? You as a regular citizen walk through that park, something that he put up falls down. Now that citizen can sue the city. That waiver doesn't cover that.
Well, I don't think.
So
anyone's
you
gonna
don't wanna
get hurt
take
with a
that-
Christmas light falling on their head.
I'm just
It could be
saying,
for other
it could be a
things, you
display,
know?
it could be the
Other
selfie
things,
station,
yeah.
tip over, anything.
Yeah.
You don't wanna go down that road.
All right, so what are we gonna do
Anyway.
about the lights? I mean, about our snowflakes? What's the board's decision on the snowflakes? I know they couldn't do it last year, you couldn't.
The issue with the snowflakes is them staying, so that's I see no issue with the snowflakes if they come out. Because it's no different than someone putting a banner on the table during an event or, so I see no issue with them if they come out. That's me. If the board will have to make an exception to leave them in as part of this decor, so to speak. But I don't see any issue because they're kind of, whoever's,
Advertising.
yeah.
I mean, even if we put them in and then we see that they're being destroyed, then we'll take them out every night.
That's up to this board. I mean,
I mean, we can play it by ear too. It's the first time we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, in a long time. I mean, years ago, we'd leave all that stuff out and just, it didn't even get rebarred in. It just stood up and nobody touched it, right? But the
I don't know
society,
about that.
society.
We have came a long way since then.
Is
but-
what happens.
I think when we started with the signs with the baseball, the first year or two was done on a trial basis.
Certainly is.
And since this is the first year, I think it should be done on a trial basis and see how it works out.
Thank
And
you.
then we can always, revisit it after we get results of what goes on.
Thank you.
You wanna hear what I got to say?
Yeah, we do.
No.
Speak now, forever hold your
absolutely
peace.
not. Absolutely not.
Mr. Dion, how are you?
Hi, Mike.
Like I said, I don't have any problems with this. My first conversation, I know she had mentioned it about decorating and that, and then you called me, but I had already mentioned it to the former DCM director, Mr. Perry, and Mrs. Smith. I'm like, why can't we decorate these parks? And I went up to Taunton Green and seen that, and I was like, I'm sorry, this is crazy, why can't? And it was like, first manpower, and then people complaining and everything, but then you approached me with this concept and that, and I said, let's do it together, and I don't have a problem with this. Like I said, let's try it on a trial basis with the things, and we have to go. But going back to fees, you had said that we never waived fees. Just to correct us, we did waive fees
during
last
COVID.
year, coming out of COVID for everybody, because just to get everybody back in the parks and that, because that's when the governor lifted the thing in June, so a bunch of events came and we just said, let's waive it to get everybody. Other
Yeah, but it
than
was
that.
across the board.
Yeah,
What I'm
across
saying
the
is we
board.
don't
Yeah,
waive
across the board.
individual
Across
fees.
No, that's why I
the
didn't
board.
mention it.
We
This
waived it
year, we
across
did
the
not
board
waive,
that year.
if people
Circumstances.
took over, it was a city event and that, it didn't get charged.
Well, I think,
What's up?
provided you have your 501c3
Mm-hmm.
paperwork in order, this can take place. If not, it can't, because then we're gonna have everybody wanting to stick pumpkins and Easter bunnies and everywhere. So you need, I think this is,
Yeah, all the paperwork has already been filed, it's already been submitted. As an attorney, I can have the attorney send you a letter, and we should have it by then.
that's all I'm gonna say, is once you stop, that you need to know now that these organizations are 501c3. And I think with that being said, the board needs to say you want a final report of checks and balances, and that, because being a 501c3, you're obligated by law to do exactly that. Tell
Do
them
it every
what
year
you,
to the state.
what you gotta report to the state. So you need to keep all your events in order. This is how much money we brought in, this is how much money we put out. So I think it's very important that it's a 501c3.
And you, as you guys know, it's on, this is being recorded and that, so you already know there are gonna be people that are gonna call Mrs. Smith, that are gonna call the state and everything to see if you guys are 501(c)(3)s, and then
That's
we're gonna
fine.
hear.
It's all in.
You know
We can
this.
give them
You
the
know this.
attorney's name,
You
and
know
they can
this.
certainly call
Yeah.
the attorney, and we
So
know
can
who
my
that
attorney.
we know who those half dozen people are in the city. And if I spent my life worrying about what they had to say, I wouldn't go anywhere. So, you're just trying to do something better for the city,
Mm-hmm.
and when people try to do something better for the city, they get criticized, and that's just, Fall
Just
River.
your advertising, just like the leagues.
Right.
We need a list of what is gonna go, if
What's
the
this?
board so
Yep.
approves this, what is it, because what the leagues do is they submit to us a draft banner
Yep.
before the banner is made up. So before your snowflakes are made up, we need to know, so we can go.
Is
nope.
there a way to put on the fence out here, you know how we have the banner that'll say what events are coming? It's a paper banner, plastic banner, rubber
Vinyl.
banner, whatever.
Vinyl.
Yeah, but
Vinyl.
not
Yeah,
now.
no,
No, but when it gets closer, can we put like
maybe when we
second
start
week
decorating.
of
I would,
of November?
I don't have.
What do you mean, the banner
Just a banner,
advertising?
like
where
Just
the
the banner saying
vaccination
what's going on the
signs
land.
are.
Yeah,
To this
yeah.
day, to this
Yeah,
day.
they can
Where the
do
county
that
park sign basically is,
Yeah.
either to the side of it or whatever visually looks.
along the fence or in the.
No,
Just
it
look
would-
right
it
on the
would-
fence.
Yeah, but it needs to be a reasonable size, not.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not gonna have a
We
huge.
had
Yeah.
like 4 vaccination signs in a row there
Yeah.
at one point that was just a distraction.
Yeah, I see.
So like I think our banner size is 4 by 8,
4 by 8 or 4 by 6.
4 by, I can
Are they
look it up.
3 by 6
The
maybe?
baseball banner,
No, I think
smaller.
it might be 4 by 8.
it's a fence.
Yes.
Size.
All
right.
We can measure one just to make sure it's,
I'll look
That's
up
it.
the measurement to see,
thank you.
I think that's it.
but there's no vote yet.
Yeah,
Well, that's it, I mean, that's it from
Yes.
what we have to say.
all right. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion that we grant permission for the lights, working with DCM and other agencies to get this off the ground. And as far as the snowflakes, we can go with a trial basis, see how it, if they're vandalized, if they're not vandalized, if it works out where they're removed every night, it works out better than leaving them up and things like that. I have no problem granting permission for that.
Can I amend your motion?
Certainly, Your
If
Chairman.
they're vandalized and everything, my suggestion, attach them to the fence.
We had the same,
So that way they're permanently on the fence
we,
for the season and
we had the same
nobody can screw around.
situation with banners for baseball leagues.
Yeah,
We told them if they get vandalized and the park department just clean up banners every morning, then we're gonna put an end to it.
Are these snowflakes wooden?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my issue with doing them to the fence, Joey. Sometimes when you attach the wood to the fence, you're now bowing the fence. So, and that's,
But I think that there's more of a working, relationship, a cooperative relationship. If it becomes to be a problem, you contact Roxanne, you contact Justin.
Oh, I'll be done
and
every day.
I would
and
say the snowflakes go
then-
in for the event on the 10th.
Yeah, so.
On the 10th.
How big
That
is this?
would be
Well, we're
mine.
gonna open, we have.
Oh,
our-
you're gonna have
big
your
one.
opening on the 4th.
That's probably 12 inches.
But if it becomes a problem,
Probably 8, 9 inches.
then
So you would really
let's
have
talk
to
about it,
be
and
close to
we'll
read
figure it
I mean,
out.
You can't see that from.
I was just saying,
Well,
about
that's why
like
you-
fence
distance
wires
away,
in
yeah,
the
you
past,
usually-
when
so
you
as you
decorated,
walk
you attached all the wooden,
Right, but I think they're looking
and
to make
everything
them
else on the
part
fence.
You've
of
seen
the
this
Yeah.
full page.
lights.
yeah.
So that's one of the.
Whatever your pleasure is, I'm just here to take notes.
How are they gonna go in the ground?
Rebar.
Rebar.
Where I volts, like I did the Volkswagen for the car show.
Yeah, I mean, you can put them to the fence. But a 4-foot one is not gonna go on the fence, it's gonna be
No.
too big. He's saying 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet, so the 4 feet one are never gonna go on the fence. The 2
Yeah.
and, the 3 you're pushing it, the 2 definitely will fit.
So, just a question. If it, was it 2, 3, and 4?
Yes.
Are they doing it like the bigger they are, the bigger sponsor?
Yes.
Okay.
The more money.
The more money, that's what I'm just asking.
How thick
And like
are
I
they?
said, it'd be,
The sponsorship of the trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
no.
donated trees for the inside, but they're like
they're on the
a
original
spiral.
map
The
for
spiral ones.
decorations.
They're on the thing, that
Yeah,
was from Spectrum
we don't-
Lighting,
Yeah, the spiral ones.
those,
Just right here.
yeah,
Yes.
you have it, okay.
No, that's something different he's got.
Well,
No,
this
it's
is,
the
this is
same
just the original map
No,
that was
it's the
still
same
back, so
thing.
this was just scribbled and this
No,
is
but I'm
the-
saying this right here, it's
Yes.
these kind
Yeah,
of
it's the
trees,
same
these like
thing,
wide
that you got.
trees.
Oh, they donated
Yes.
lights.
Yes.
They
the
donated
trees,
lights.
yeah.
That and the balls and
Yeah,
set
they
for.
donated,
Yep.
they donated all that,
But they were
but you'll
all on
see
the-
them.
They were all on the
I-
original
I
decoration.
just have one question.
Yes, sir.
The signs, obviously you said they were wood. How thick are they?
Quarter inch, right?
Yeah.
Quarter-inch ply.
Quarter inch
To
plywood.
a half an inch.
Yeah, maybe the floor, maybe we might have to make the floors a little thicker, but
No problem.
we don't wanna build too many unless we
Just
know.
plywood's gone up,
All right, so
okay.
how was your motion again?
Make a motion, that we grant permission for the snowflake signs on a trial basis. And if we find that, it's become a nuisance, that we revisit it.
You're not gonna be able to revisit it, you're gonna have to make a
Well, yeah,
decision on the spot.
you know what I-
You're gonna
you know
take
what I
it
mean.
out or
Give
whatever.
permission to Mr. Smith to work with them,
Yeah.
the organization, to come up with a
Come up with
better
an
plan.
alternative solution.
Yes. Try a solution would be
Good word.
taking them in and out every day.
No, if they don't work out,
Yep.
here's my suggestion for your motion. If the snowflakes don't work out, then we need to put them in on the 10th and the whatever.
The day
Just the
The
days
day
we're
of those
actually there.
Saturdays, period. If they work out, fine. If they don't work, if we have a problem between the 7th and the 10th, then on the 10th they go in, take them out, put them back. Does that seem like a plan to you,
Yeah.
Justin?
It's very
I
feasible,
really don't, I
absolutely.
don't think we're gonna have as much of a problem.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think
You
you're
might
used to
not.
working with, like, everything always becomes an issue after.
Yeah,
So better
so
to be
you're
safe
trying
than
to,
sorry.
absolutely.
No problem.
All right.
We need a plan B, just in case.
That's the plan B, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
we got
All right,
plenty.
all right.
And I need a list of what type of entertainment.
We're creating a Google Doc, so I'll have you
When
include
you
it
have,
with that.
when you know your entertainment,
Yeah.
because you're gonna need to
Yeah,
tell
I'm gonna
us.
revisit the school department.
you'll have to
I know
follow
they're a little
the-
crazy right now, so within the
Fill
next
out the
week I'll-
civic events form, take it around,
Yes, I remember that.
park fee, and if there's only those things going on, the fee applies to
The 2
the
days.
nights of the events. If it's just, the park's gonna be lit, the park's just lit,
Bring it
nothing's
back.
going on.
All right. Do I have a,
Who pays the electricity on this?
City of Fall River, there's no other way about it. The electricity, this is in conjunction
yes.
with the,
If we were gonna light the park
Cooperating.
ourselves, we'd be paying for the lights.
right.
So I said that right from day one.
Yeah, you did.
The lights are what I'm gonna try to do with those lights is put them on, a timer.
Yes.
If they can't be put on a timer, then the only ones that may not be able to be put on a timer are the ones
Around the
around the
rink.
pond.
Yeah.
Those lights stay on, but
Yes.
we're not gonna string from pole to pole, we said, so that shouldn't be an issue. The tree lights should be able to go on timers.
And my, Commissioner Rego, my suggestion too, we're gonna pay for the lights is because over this last few years, we've paid for lights for adult pro football teams and everything at our cost when they guys made money and everything. And, you know, if we can pay for that stuff, we can pay for all the citizens to enjoy lights.
Now, with that being said, I think this board needs to address adult leagues in lighting, but that's a story for another day.
Yes. But anyways, you made that motion to approve everything?
I did.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Keep me posted, please, Justin.
Yes, I'll be in touch.
All right. Okay. Item C. Letter from Fall River Arts regarding Halloween event at Kennedy Park on 10/29/22, along with the request for sculpture placements in parks and city murals in spring of 2023. Is anybody here for that?
We're here.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Just state your name and,
Chandler Hearn, 505 Bay Street, Fall River.
Katrina Myers, 505 Bay Street, Fall River.
okay, so we got your request. Just tell us about what you want to do.
Yeah.
We actually have a little write-up that's kind of about what we're doing, who we are, real quick, with, so that might be, visual sometimes helps. Do you mind if I?
Yep. They can pass that out, right? And we'll
Yep, I
make it
just
part
gotta
of the
have a
re-
copy to put in the minutes.
Yep, we have to put it in the minutes.
I'll take one of theirs. if
We just
they-
don't want any open meeting stuff coming to us.
Yeah, I am.
See, that's kind of just a synopsis of our nonprofit, a little bit about who we are, what we're looking to do, and the permit from the mayor and the police.
Department as well.
Yeah.
So we started Fall River Arts Project in April of this past year, or we might have actually filed in late March, but got our certification in April. And we're trying to put public art throughout the city of Fall River. We want to be an inclusive voice. We want to make sure community members are heard and can participate in all of the events. We also want to bring in some artists from out of town to just not change people's vocabulary, but add to it, expand ideas, and have Fall River artists be a voice in the art world, because there's a great art scene here that should be represented. So we have been working with the mayor's office and FRAC and Viva and have been thinking about ideas for programming that we can introduce to the city. The first of which is the Halloween parade, which is on October 29th. It's in the evening at 6 p.m. It's going to be running down Middle Street from Broadway to Bay Street. So we firstly wanted to just clue you guys in on the fact that this parade's going to be happening and happening by Kennedy Park. We also wanted to see if we could use parts of the park to implement the parade because there will be people along the sides, and wanted to see about doing that, provide you guys with any information you may need and answer your questions. So our first request is to have some parade participants just line up within Kennedy Park at the corner of Middle Street and Broadway. That way, people would be out of traffic and they would be able to join the parade route. Obviously, these would be participants who aren't in vehicles, but would just be costumed or possibly marching bands. Our second request, or does anyone have any questions that we can address at this point?
Question on the 29th. He just said that Rec's doing their Halloween thing on the 20th. No, not,
I'm not sure, I was just.
I
thinking about
believe
the
they
same.
are, sorry to interrupt, but
So
I
that's-
believe they're also doing it earlier in the day.
Oh, okay.
From what
Yeah.
we've heard, it's like more afternoon, and we're
Okay.
starting at
Okay.
5, so I think it should work
Okay.
out. Hopefully, we can collaborate.
Right.
I was just gonna say, because
Yeah.
we certainly don't wanna take one.
No,
No,
Fall River's
no,
not big enough
against
for
the
that.
others.
Yeah.
No, because I'm just saying, because the police right now, it's like probably 20 police officers for the special ops unit
Right.
that are covering all these events.
Yeah.
They
And they're
must be
spread thin,
exhausted.
like, they're like trying to go everywhere.
We're kind of confused, when we met with Elena
Yep.
and Mayor Coogan,
Yep.
they said we'd probably only need crossing guards. But then, I'm not sure if it has to be.
They're
a-
probably
the
talking,
street?
they're probably talking
Yeah.
about.
That, I mean, that's what it
traffic
says.
guard. They're talking about the traffic enforcement officers.
It says traffic officer or crossing guard to be placed at the corners of Bay and Middle Street and Broadway and Middle Street.
It might be crossing guards, like school crossing guards. Like,
Which-
I don't know.
That would be
I
great
think
if it
maybe
were-
traffic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably
sometimes
say
do
the traffic enforcement
Yeah,
officers.
because they need to put the barricades up, of course. and-
So you have a parade, are you saying you've applied for a parade permit?
Yeah.
To close middle from Broadway to South Main?
From Broadway to Bay
To
Street.
Bay, it's the bottom half.
I'm sorry,
bottom part.
Broadway to Bay, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and that, the permit should be in there.
So, your crossing guards are basically for when people might park at the top to get them across?
I
to
think
you?
like Almond Street, South
Beach.
Beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think
South
those are the only,
Beacon.
yeah, Beacon, yeah.
oh, that's where you want it, you're gonna have people there.
That's, because that's the
Right.
only, those are the only I think, yeah, those are the 3 intersections
Yeah. That
between
feed into-
Broadway that feed into Middle there.
Yeah.
Liberty Street now.
There's
It's all the way
Liberty,
down.
yeah, it does go all the way,
There's
yeah.
a
So there's
small,
a few streets that, when they close off, they're gonna have to close them off, because they're gonna have to close off those
Yeah.
side
They're
streets
gonna have
as
to
well.
close them up at
That, at like, whatever,
Sprague
Sprague
on
Street.
Sprague Street.
Yep.
Okay,
Because if
that's-
not, they're coming down and they
That's
can't
not,
turn around.
again, that's for the police to
Yes.
determine what they have
Yeah.
to do there. As far as us, would it be easier for you to use the pond area to assemble your people, and now you're not crossing Broadway as much?
I think that would be much easier for us and for law enforcement and traffic and everyone
If you
involved if
kept
that
it
was an
from that
option.
point, from Broadway down,
Yes.
that's
Yeah, because then you can,
Definitely.
you can march right out of the.
So that's the section
pond
that you're
up the
looking
top
at
of
to
Broadway
maybe-
right there.
Right.
We don't
assemble
want
your
anyone-
parade, and you could almost get them in a line, there's a lot of little walkways there where you could get them in a line, they come up to the top of Broadway
Yeah,
and down
That's
middle, or they could
perfect.
come around from the front of the building up our little driveway and
Yep.
down middle.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we don't wanna-
I would keep everything from,
Broadway
you're assembling,
south, or
so
I
if
guess
they're
it'd be-
looking for a use of a section of
West.
park, I would say that section. I don't see,
Yeah, we don't wanna mess with the traffic flow on Broadway at all.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Just
you
try
have the
to-
whole ring around the pond and everything that you can
there's a
use.
small parking lot, but it's, depending on how many people you get, it's not gonna
Yeah, they might
accommodate
wanna park in
everybody.
there and
So
that,
you
so.
may still have people crossing, because they're gonna park on the Middle Street Drive and have to
Yeah.
cross at that Broadway
Yep.
to get where you are, but that might be the only,
Right.
Yeah, we're
still anticipating needing a crossing guard
Yeah.
at that intersection, but just not having
so
the
that
actual
again would
parade
be
participants adding to the
traffic
chaos would be.
or the police department that
Yeah.
would have to do that.
And also, I mean, it ends at Middle and Bay. But I was wondering, we're at 505 Bay, so we're just a block over. Is Kennedy Overlook Park part of the Parks Department?
The one that's on the side of that?
It goes, well, straight down from where the tennis courts are,
Yeah.
that goes over that little bridge.
Yeah, well, that is, but it's not, I wouldn't recommend going down there.
I mean,
the
I
Overlook?
walk my dog there like
At the
daily.
Overlook he's talking about?
Past,
At
yeah,
Overlook
there's a
Park,
lot
yeah.
of,
Where they wanna, where they
Lot of
have.
riffraff.
There's stuff, yeah, no, I know.
There's a lot
And
of
we
critters.
also, we know the folks at like King Philip Yacht Club.
Yeah.
And since they're right there, I just didn't know if, I mean,
it is park property.
it is park property. So just
Didn't
wondering
we
for,
approve plans to develop that?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I'm sorry.
but right now it's not developed, it's
Yes,
very
yes.
yeah.
filled with critters.
Yeah, critters. All right.
That leads us,
That make the
That's saying it
Halloween
nicely.
motif.
leads us to the second part of our request is like what's happening at the end of the parade, because we're going down Middle Street, we're ending at Bay Street. We'd love to host a small event at the end of the parade. We want to have a costume contest. We thought of having a dog costume contest. Where we'd like to get an MC to say thank you to the community and announce any sort of awards, possibly have a few bands play and offer food. We understand the parks close at 9. And we would love to have a space to set up a stage. We are going to be meeting with Elena again and talking about getting a vending permit to have some food trucks maybe, or other vendors there to sell things to the community. And we didn't know if we could use park space for that, and if so, which park space you thought would be best for that usage. We thought of the area by the tennis court in the baseball field or Overlook Park, which we sort of prefer because it's out of everyone's way and we didn't want the noise to be a nuisance.
Right,
at
it's
6
usually
PM,
not
but yeah.
Cut, we usually don't maintain that because it leads to,
Illegal
people
parking and everything.
dumping or,
Hang out.
no, just not good activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like basically
I don't know how to
vacant,
say
you
it.
know, it's like a really nice,
Children of the night.
I mean, it's waterfront and it's just not being, it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like in the void. It's like nothing's
Yeah,
being
it's,
happening.
it's not maintained,
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, we don't maintain it. Public Works goes in oftentimes with a machine that
Yeah, I've
stays
noticed-
above the
yeah.
ground, because there's so much, people dump there, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of trash there, so I don't know that it is a good, I know it's off the beaten path. I think that initially, the area that's going to be maintained is gonna be the area next to the tennis courts. You may be able to, go adjacent to that, that's at the
That's a
bottom
nice
of
area.
Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty flat
Mhm.
area. I would suggest there because it's going to be cut, it's gonna be clean.
All right.
That sounds great, and
But-
people don't have to cross the street.
Yeah, and it's kind of in the same,
And you could use,
or even if you did I mean, the baseball field, they gotta cut across the street. So I would suggest the area down the bottom of, if you're gonna end your parade there,
Yeah.
have your event
Yeah.
at the bottom.
And we figure if the parade goes till, I mean, as you can see, it's like maybe a quarter mile. It's not a long parade. So,
Parks close, here's the thing, parks close at 9 PM.
mm,
With the exception of permitted events from the Board of Park Commissioners. So technically, if the board gives you a permit, you can go till 10, but parks close at 9 o'clock
Yep.
to just stop people from hanging around in the park doing nothing. But when there is an event and the board issues a permit, your event can go past 9. So
okay.
just so you know that, we don't like
Yeah.
pull the plug.
Yeah.
That's great.
I just wasn't want to bother
And
any
you
of
don't
the
want a
neighbors.
bunch of people out that late. I would
Right.
say,
Yeah.
an event like that, I don't know
Probably
how much noise you're gonna
10:30.
make, 10, it depends, is it a Saturday night?
It's a Saturday night,
Yeah.
yes. It's a Saturday before
You won't
Halloween.
be the first guy making noise there past 10.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
4th of July was great there.
So, look, that would be my suggestion, cause it's gonna be cut, it's gonna be clean, it's
Excellent.
gonna be maintained.
and you probably could put your food trucks right there, in that little parking lot that's right near the tennis courts.
Yep.
Yes, and
So
when you're
they're-
thinking, I'm sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
No, that's what I was
Oh.
saying, and then you could probably have your vendors and that probably on the tennis courts.
That sounds great.
It's like kind of broken up, but
Yeah, no, that
At
sounds
least-
good. We were also talking with Elena about being able to serve, like beer or
No,
something
we
like
cannot
that.
have
Absolutely
alcohol.
not.
Alcohol is not allowed in a park.
That's a big
Okay.
NO.
Yeah, because I was under
Because
the impression
if you
you get a
notice-
single day use
Yeah.
thing, but that's only for private or.
That's only for the gates.
That's only the gates. It's
Park
not under our
property, we don't
control.
do it at all.
That's under the control of building the
Okay,
grounds.
the gates, okay, the
Yeah.
gates.
That's why, if you notice, the feast that just went last week, they have non-alcohol.
Yeah,
today.
there was no alcohol there.
It's non-alcoholic.
No, the
beverage.
parks are
okay.
strictly no alcohol.
But at the gates, the food truck things they have at the gates, they do have. It's probably what Troy City and
Yes.
Can't Eat
Exactly.
are there.
Yes, they have a special permit issued for the event, and I believe they rope off a certain area there.
Yeah.
That it.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. It has to be a
Yes,
enclosed kind
and
of corral.
Yeah, they do that at the gates, but not.
But is that the only place in the city that's?
Only, the place that I know that is city
Yeah.
occupied or city owned.
Mm.
There may be other places, maybe Lena would know that answer,
Okay.
I don't.
Gotcha.
But just from us, having people
That's what's
request
been
events.
happening.
Right.
That's
Yes.
what's happened thus far. Gotcha.
Right,
Gotcha.
yes. So
Mostly
that-
everybody, all the places, it's either church grounds or something.
A private.
It's their private
Yeah.
event and that, and
Yeah.
they come in, they go to the license board, that's not even us. They
Yes.
go to the license
Yep.
board,
And they
get
get
them,
whatever
permit,
event
whatever
permit
it
they
is.
need and. they
So,
can
I mean,
serve
I
for
don't
that
know
day.
if that's something you would, that is a deal breaker for you, that you would have to.
No, no,
move
no.
that
Nope,
for-
nope.
No,
That's
no.
fine.
I'm very excited by the potential of using the area by the tennis courts. It's perfect. It's nice that it's gated and separated. There's some
Right,
concrete.
right.
It's by the parade route. People
Yeah.
don't need to cross the street.
Right.
It just sounds lovely.
Online, and I can send it to you, is the civic events form that I was speaking to the other group about. What that is it's a sign-off sheet where you have to take it around to the various departments. Once this board gives you permission, you explain to them what exactly you're doing. Are you having stages? Are you having food trucks? Are you having, and then they need to sign off, and they will have to come out and either inspect or do whatever they gotta do, charge whatever fees that apply to their particular department. So, keep that in mind, that that's something that needs to be done, and if you're going to use the park, the 125 fee.
Gotcha.
And a liability insurance.
Yeah, and a
125
liability.
and
And with the liability insurance, the city of Fall River has to be named on that policy as an additional insured.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And do you guys have a time frame that you need this by? Like, I'm gonna guess before the next board meeting would be great.
Well, you need it before you have that. You won't be issued your permit
Right.
without that. So you're gonna do all the footwork, and if you
Right.
don't get that,
Right.
you're doing it, you're kind of spinning your wheels. So
Yeah.
until
Right.
we have that, then that's when we would issue your
The permit from the Parks Board.
permits from the
Gotcha.
park board.
I guess
Exactly.
I'm asking, does it require us to come to the next board meeting, which we're happy to attend, but if it takes longer than
No,
early October, it'd be okay?
no, it does
Okay.
not require you to
Alright.
come again unless there's some.
But we just get all the information, if we approve this event, you just get all the information to Mrs. Smith, she's the director of parks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
We
great.
just make all the rules and regulations.
Awesome.
They make the rules, I gotta make sure they're followed.
Yeah.
I bend your arm up
Yeah.
behind your back.
And her office is right there at Kennedy Park, the building that has.
The green
Yeah.
building.
Oh, yeah, that's
She's
your-
right
that's your
there in the-
office?
So that's
Okay.
where you would be picking up your permit.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, drive
call
by
her,
there like every day.
And sure, we'll make arrangements for you.
Very nice.
And I'm gonna guess the certificate and permit process would have more information. We were overhearing that porta johns are overseen by the health department and
When
all
you
of
take that sign,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
sheet around to be signed, they're gonna tell you,
Yeah.
Okay.
this is what you
Yep.
need, and they'll tell you based on, you always need a handicap accessible one.
Mhm.
Sometimes they say you're
Yep.
better off getting one of each handicap,
Yep.
Yeah.
but they have the
They
regulations
know.
there, and they have the regulations regarding the food, they have the regulations regarding any type of snacks or things you're gonna distribute, you gotta go through them and say, this is what we're gonna do. So
Mhm.
that's why we have this form, so it gives
Yep.
you some guidance, and it lets them know, the police department, the fire department, that these streets are gonna be closed off. So
Yeah.
that if there's a fire, they know,
Right.
we can't go down Broadway because there's 500 kids in Broadway, and we're not gonna
Right.
get them out of the way, so they gotta take it, it's just a safety.
Yeah, communication, for
And
sure.
then like,
Exactly.
the building inspector, I was saying about the generators and that, they have to be licensed in the ground and
Mhm.
everything else. stages, that's all through the building department. That all has to get checked and balanced with him.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
all
we-
has to be signed off.
We saw, I think, I guess that's a side point. I think the last thing that happened at the Arches, I think that was through the Narrows. And they had it was a small stage, which I liked, but I guess,
That's still, they still have to get that.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think they own the stage personally, but of course they went
Yeah,
through
they
all the
do. I
right.
think the stage regulations is it's so many
Yeah.
feet or inches off the ground requires a permit. But again, the building department would be the one who
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
dictate that. As for
And-
your sculptures in I mean, I think we should kind of do.
Yeah, I know,
one at a
this-
time.
this-
The sculptures in 2023.
Yes.
You would have to submit to this board
In January.
what the sculptures
Definitely.
look like, what I would do if I were you is scout out whatever particular location you're looking for to put these sculptures, and then come in with that information. Again,
It
we're
depends.
not gonna say that we are not subject to a lot of vandalism or.
Of course, yeah.
And I don't know what we would not be able to be at all
Of course,
responsible for
yeah,
that, so
yeah.
that's something else that we'd all have to know up front. But, I think with that, that's something that you can come back to the board. The board has allowed these things to be put in different places, so I don't think they, but it's something that they would need to see a physical drawing of.
Yeah.
What you want, where you wanna put it, and then they could vote on that.
Understood.
That sounds good.
I guess then what we're seeking permission for right now is to solicit proposals for artwork to be put in the parks. So we would be putting something on our website saying we're looking for sculptures to place in the parks of the city of Fall River. And we'd like your okay to be able to do that. And then we'd bring it to the board. We'd probably vet them and get rid of the stuff you don't want to see. And maybe bring the top couple of 3 to you guys to choose if one of them would be good or not.
So I think that's something that you want their permission to be able to vet different artists.
Yeah, we'd like permission to just say that we're going to be soliciting artwork to put in the public parks, and that that would mean you guys would be representing that you will consider putting this artwork in the parks.
No, this is like sculpture artwork,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
right? Not like pictures or nothing like that.
No.
No, not pictures. It'd be a sculpture just for artistic value.
Okay. And then the murals, I see you have the 2 electrical boxes, they have to stay blue. That's why they
Okay.
painted that color.
Well, the
Solid blue,
buildings.
only
The
solid.
buildings.
The building, the electrical boxes.
Yeah, the
There's
buildings.
a group.
The buildings.
Oh, that you-
Yeah,
oh,
no, I'm
that's
looking
the
at that,
one you
yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I've went all around all of those, like the mortar on those cinder blocks, I mean, it all needs to be repointed so bad, they're falling apart, like.
Yep.
I mean, the benches down by the bottom ball field on the other side of Bay,
Yep.
they're all just broken, and it's been like that for a long time. I mean, for about the year and a half, I mean, I went to East Providence High School, my grandfather was born in Fall River, like, I'm like, wow.
This is, I'm gonna tell you, there's somebody else come in a couple of months back about that field. What's up, there used to be very popular, that field, when the police athletic girls softball used to use that field. That field is underutilized, like we were saying, we used to have 30 men in parks every year. People wanna do, now, let's make a walking trail, let's do this, let's get money to do this. And the park department keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and 10 guys to do all this. Rotaries, all the greens. Plymouth Avenue, Brighton Avenue, Easton Avenue. These guys have to cut all of this. And with 10 men, and you're talking vacations, people are sick of that.
Yeah.
Now, you know.
And the
this is-
headquarters are right at Kennedy,
The
right
headquarters
by.
are right there.
Technically, that location, to be honest with you, when the sewer commission was doing their work, they used that bottom park as a staging for all their materials, which didn't help matters.
No,
Because at that point, it went
yeah.
by the
Down the-
wayside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
literally.
at this point, the park is in definite need of
Yep.
either removal of all that stuff and just keeping it an open area,
Yep.
or for different things like this,
Yeah,
or to revitalize that.
it's a great location, it's sad to see it all.
So it definitely needs
Yeah.
some
Yeah, but
Some TLC.
from what
I'll be the
what
first
I'm
to
hearing
tell.
here is that's union. No one's gonna be able to do anything
No,
unless.
we allow the leagues to do
All right.
volunteer work.
Volunteer
things
work,
like
but
that.
like paid work to get it done. you know,
Right,
so-
well, no, like the leagues themselves used to take, used to get,
Yeah.
some people in their leagues were
I mean,
contractors. and
but even the frames of the,
benches.
yeah, the bleachers,
benches
I
should
mean,
be-
no one's gonna weld that whole thing
No,
up
they
for
all should be
free.
removed.
Hmm.
The fence should be,
Now, when I'm talking about doing that, that's all union?
what, you wanna do that?
I do. I'm a certified AWS welder.
And what do you wanna do?
I
That's a
wanna
story for-
fabricate, I wanna
That's a story for
fabricate
another
some
day.
new,
This
I wanna
meeting's always
fabricate some
so-
new bleacher frames.
But I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Those bleacher frames, I don't know that they even gonna, worth saving.
No, I'm fabricate new. They're not.
Oh.
Those things aren't even heavy. I mean, they're like something you have in your backyard. They're weak, and that's why they broke so fast. And even all the metal benches all up and down Kennedy, it's like I reach your hand under and it's tetanus. It's like, oh man, this is bad news.
Those benches
It's all
are
thin
older
sheet
than-
metal that'll cut
If you
so
notice,
quick.
if you notice the newer style benches, they used to cost us what, about $700, $800? Now they're almost $1,000.
No, they're 1,200
Oh,
now.
1,200, sorry. We just had to replace them.
Wow.
And she only has so much
A
money in her
bench.
budget,
Yeah.
and she'll tell you, all the new area of the playground, everything else
Yeah.
has it. There's
Yeah.
two of them green benches that are right near the playground. I've already told her, as soon as we get benches, I want these replaced
Yep.
with the newer style.
Yeah.
And that's where, I've already gave her that, she'll tell you.
Yeah. The bad ones. Are
Stop
real bad.
replacing these benches as we go every year. If we can do a couple, if we do a big project and it's called a renovation,
Yep.
then we get rid of them in that.
Yep.
That's what we did with Columbus. Community Development paid to replace all the benches at Columbus. And I had Mr. Perry before, because that's why I said, some people like to do what they want to do without our permission. The dog park, they decided to put lawn furniture as their benches, like someone's own lawn furniture, and I had it removed, it was all broken, and I told our
Yeah.
supervisor to remove it and everything, because,
If someone gets hurt on that, now it's
Exactly.
city. Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep
Yeah.
it safe. You gotta-
Okay, so back to the.
I know
question.
that really went sideways.
No,
no, I'm
Sorry,
just saying
guys.
is-
All night.
we replaced benches over there, and we took the benches from Columbus and put
Yep.
it there, that was in good shape.
I hear you. I hear you.
We will, I think we're gonna just completely,
Yeah.
at one point, either renovate that park or do
Alright.
something completely with it.
Might be a good
but
area
enough-
for, the volleyballs.
Yeah,
There you go.
sculpture volleyball.
Yeah, or sculptures.
Sculpture park.
As fun and
Yeah,
just
there you go.
Yeah.
now, you were saying, kind of getting back on point. They have to say either blue or gray, the electrical.
Yep.
Where, if we would love to do some murals. Where would you think? I mean, there's so much vacant area in the parks. Even like those buildings right on Bradford there. They're just nothing.
Here we
How,
go.
how good are you at murals?
I'm great. I can show you. I can show. I
All right,
did. I've
because
done.
this is a project that I wanted to do, and I've
Yep.
talked to Patty and everybody else in that.
I mean, I'm not to like.
Our maintenance,
We were.
our maintenance building,
Yes.
I want that building renovated, like painted.
Yep.
The wall that's facing Broadway,
Yeah.
an Olmsted mural
And
of Kennedy
Olmsted.
Cottage.
That's great thinking. We were just talking about the.
Because that'd be the
Olmsted.
perfect spot for that.
Yep.
Yeah. We'd love to put
Yep.
something there.
All the
and-
history of Kennedy Park, Olmsted and everything.
That would be fantastic. I was just talking to a couple friends about the fact that it's an Olmsted Park, that and North. I mean, it's like having a Frank Lloyd Wright house in your town. It's like these things should be honored and remembered. I mean, he did Central Park with. I mean, he's the biggest park builder. Anyway, we know. That's great. So how about if maybe the next meeting I can bring some ideas because
Send
obviously
in a proposal.
send in a proposal.
Yep.
Obviously can't do anything in the winter.
Yep.
But it would be great to get things that we all love and be able to put in a solid proposal to
Yep.
start moving when the weather gets warm.
I have one more request
Yes.
related to this. We love the idea of creating a mural and putting it on the maintenance building. Grant season's coming up for arts projects, and the next deadline is going to happen before the next Parks Board meeting. Would it be okay if we said in our grant application that we're working on a proposal to present to the board to put a mural in the park?
I think you could say that. They can't take an official vote on it because
Yeah.
it's not on their
Right.
agenda, but you would be able to say that you've had conversation with them
Yes.
and they seem to be, open,
Non-adverse.
yes, open to the
Awesome.
idea of having artwork put So I would think that that's something that you could do, because the board is open to that, so.
Well, thank you for that, and warning that's gonna happen, so if you hear from them, that's what it's all about.
All right.
Okay, so back to the
Yes, the Halloween.
matter at hand, the Halloween, October 29th. The time you have is what?
6 p.m.
5 to 9, I think.
They said 6 p.m.
The parade's going to start at 6 PM, we're going to start
Okay, so you
lining up
need
at
setup
5.
time.
Yeah.
So we'll say 5 to, if you go 9, you wanna say 5 to 10?
Yes,
Would that be fair?
That's
Yes,
perfect.
perfect.
Okay.
All right.
The area that in question is, for them to set up is either near my building or near the pond or
Yep.
whatever, but that's the middle section of the park
Yep.
toward Broadway,
Yep.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay,
The ending of their event would be at the bottom lower half of Kennedy on
yeah, so
Bay
you'd have to
Street.
get me an itinerary of, if you're having food truck, what kind of activities you have. So you'd have to get that to us so that we know what we're looking at, and if
Yeah.
there was anything I had to address with this board,
Yes.
we could address it at the October meeting.
Okay.
So, but I would, whatever activities you're looking to do, you'd have to get that to me. Again, the fees, the insurance policy, and the, sign-off sheets.
Yep.
It's called the Civic Events Form, if you want, I can send it to you, or if you go on this Park Department website, and you just click on Forms, it'll say Civic Events, and
Yep.
you can call it up, and it has a little instruction. If you have any questions, you can give me a call at the office.
All right.
Thank you.
And
So-
with, I don't know if it's you or sanitation, but having maybe some extra trash barrels, because, I mean, we're not trying to give out too much, but there's gonna be some candy, it's Halloween.
That would be Mr. Denmead, I can let him know, he usually does.
All right, just, I
Provide
mean,
some-
and we can come the next day and pick up, of course, I don't want a bunch of, candy wrap, just try to tell people, put it in the barrel. It's just that easy, easier than picking it up.
So it's up to the board at this point.
What's your pleasure, guys? You
I'll
have any
make a
questions or
motion that
answers?
we
You have any-
allow this
You have any
event.
questions or answers yet, or no?
No.
I mean, questions first. All right, so Commissioner Rigo makes the motion to allow this event,
Yes.
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Great, thank
Hey,
you so much.
thanks,
And
guys.
we can discuss the other things when you send it, and we'll put you on the agenda of another meeting.
Awesome,
Perfect.
thank you
We'll
very
be-
much.
You're welcome.
If you wanna skip to your tree,
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna do them all. Can I make a motion to take
I would say skip to item,
item L,
just skip to L and move from that point. No,
L-
skip to,
M, N, O, P
Yeah.
out of order? Actually, no. L, M, N, and O out of order.
Motion to take it out of order.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rio. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Commissioner L, Jesus. Sorry. Oh, man. Item L.
make it quick.
I will. Item L is a request to use either perpetual care or sale of lot funds to repair the wall on Locust Street. The quote should be in your packets. It's $3,800. The operating budget for the cemetery is very tight. We'd appreciate using sale of lot funds to make this repair. Current balance for sale of lots is $448,000 plus dollars.
I know there's sale of lots and everything. I'll be in favor of that, but I know my fellow commissioner over here doesn't think it's perpetual care, but perpetual care is walls, fences, everything that surrounds that cemetery. But if we have the money in sales of lots, then I'm fine with that.
What's the amount of the,
Not
We have
fair.
$448,000.
no, I'm sorry, the amount of the wall?
The amount of the wall is $3,800.
It's right here.
He's got it in his packet.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
K. DuPont Construction,
Yep.
all labor and material.
Not perpetual care. Absolutely. You keep digging into perpetual care. I'm tired of it. No.
You won't like my last proposal.
just to be on the record, I am the one that asked Mr. Pirano to put this on the agenda because I'm tired of driving by Locust Street, seeing a wall smashed at a historic cemetery, and we can't fix this. That's ridiculous. And
I don't
I'm
know why
sorry.
they didn't have to go with the driver. They didn't know who the driver was?
The driver
Driver
was
was
illegal.
uninsured and stole the
Uninsured
vehicle.
and illegal, stolen car.
So you go after his property.
There's nothing to go after. The insurance we use Bartlett Consolidated. They went after the operator of the vehicle, and there is nothing to seize to pay for this.
He didn't have no property other than the
Nothing.
car?
Nothing.
It was a
Wasn't
stolen.
his car, it was stolen.
It was a stolen motor vehicle. So if it was a homeless person, something that we were going after. Going after a tent or something, I don't know.
There was a way, somebody told me there was a way of getting it, you know, perpetual care's gone. You're always digging into perpetual care.
We dig in perpetual care for things that maintain
Yeah,
the cemetery
sorry.
for active use.
Do me a favor for your next meeting, or for the next time. Can you get me what perpetual care actually pays for?
The perpetual care of the cemetery.
No, but I'm saying, does it have
What it
like
covers,
list?
like-
Does it
It's
cover-
generally up to the purview of this board.
Okay. But if I can get that, if you can research that, whatever.
Sure.
To see if it pays for walls, structures, anything. That way we can put this to bed once and for all.
So we have over $400,000 in perpetual care.
We have,
No,
we have
sale of
four
lots. It's two
hundred and
different
forty-eight thousand
accounts.
in the sale of lots and over $720,000 in perpetual care.
And you wanna take this out of which count?
Sale of
The
lots.
sale of lots
We'll
is my
take it out of
suggestion.
sale of lots, he said.
It's less than $4,000. I make a motion that we use that money to repair the wall.
Do I have a second?
What you wanna do?
Sale
Take
of
it out of the
lots.
sale of
Sale of
lots.
lots, I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Regal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Item M, tree removal at 300 Stetson Street due to roots in the sewer line. I know.
Oh,
Mr.
gentleman
Souza is here.
for that.
Mr.
Come on up.
Souza.
Mr. Souza, come on
How'd you
up.
like our entertainment?
Oh, I liked it. I remember these meetings well.
And you're still smiling.
Yeah, because he can leave.
Yeah. My name is James Souza, 300 Stetson Street. I'm calling to ask for the removal of a tree at 300 Stetson Street. 2 years ago, I had a sewer backup, and I called the plumber, had it,
Cleaned out.
cleaned out.
Yeah.
And at the cost of $1,676. And in their notation of that, which I had submitted to the board, one of the things was heavy roots from this tree. Since that time frame, I have photos here of the tree and of the sidewalk
Just gonna have to bring me
and
them
part of my
photos,
property.
my
This is
exhibits.
obviously for you to keep.
Thank you.
But the tree, the sidewalk itself is lifting up progressively each year. And this past fall, I noticed my porch, there was stone on it, had popped out, and I'm like, I didn't think much of it other than it fell out. Then I realized that the sidewalk, if you look at one of the photos, is actually lifting up right at the corner
Yeah,
of the
right
porch,
there,
which is going under the under the porch.
I can see it.
So the tree itself is I believe the cause of all of this, and that's my request, is to have this tree taken down because of that. But
And the roots are gonna come back eventually.
And these sidewalks are all city
well, you
sidewalks,
have to
right?
put something in there to kill the roots.
Oh, yeah, I see that right.
well, I would hope that the tree, if it gets cut down, they actually dig the stump out too. Once that's done, it should kill the tree, period,
Right,
from
okay.
regrowing. Chances are I'm gonna have my water line cleaned out again. I already called on that, now it's at 1,800.
Yeah.
So, chances are I'm gonna have to do that one more time.
So my recommendation is, in the past, we've accommodated these requests because of damage to personal property. The tree is just in okay health. It is starting to decline, so it's going to have to be removed. At some point, this probably accelerates that need, but we would remove the tree and grind the stump down to about 18 inches they go down, which gets the bulk of the root mass, so there won't be any
I mean,
future growth
I have a
there.
shop right on the corner too, and because of the, you can see the sidewalk lifting, many customers have already fallen in both directions, going up and down, like off of it, and because of hitting their foot into it. So, many people, I'm surprised no one has complained, but,
So you're lucky nobody tripped.
well, oh no, people have fallen already, is what I'm saying.
That
They have
sidewalk
to-
is city sidewalk?
It is, yes.
So,
So we'll work with DCM to get the sidewalk repaired, and if Mr. Souza is interested in a new tree that's more appropriate, we can work with him on
I
that as
actually,
well.
I don't
Fair
think it's a good idea.
I would, that's what I was just about to say. I thought when the commissioners would say, but you said it, I was gonna say, talk to Mr. Demede to see if, the concrete crew can take care of them sidewalks.
Yep, we coordinate with them
Tree.
when we remove a tree. It's done.
We'll make a motion that we cut the tree down.
And stump grind it all the way down to,
Stump it all the way.
18 inches.
Yep.
Ms. Pirano's, and then work with DCM concrete crew to work on repairing the sidewalks or replacement of sidewalks. You make that motion?
You did.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sylvia. Commissioner Rigo made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Jimmy made these pictures big enough, please.
Item N, request for a tree planting on October 8th at the tree planting program, Pulaski Park, Warren Street.
Better do it right.
Before, can you vote on this?
I can't vote on this.
So-
Why can't I vote on this?
Why not?
This is not the neighborhood.
Pulaski?
This is Pulaski Park.
It's a public park.
It's a public park.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Has nothing to do with Niagara neighborhood.
No,
Okay.
this is the Fall River Street Tree Planting Program.
All right.
They're
I'm just
they're
making sure
actually.
we had no problems.
Sure, so the plant, the city will be purchasing the trees out of our operating budget. We have tree planting money this year. Pulaski Park is one of the parks that the street tree planting program has looked at. We've looked at as a tree department for planting in because of tree equity score and environmental justice neighborhoods. So this is one of the parks, the row of trees along Warren Street are in really rough shape. They should be removed. If we're gonna remove them, we should replace at least those, if not add more. So what we would like to do is on October 8th, host a tree planting and workshop where we teach people how to plant new trees. And then the park gets the benefit of having new trees planted in there.
So you're gonna cut down the trees that are there now?
The ones that need to be removed. So
Yeah.
there's
Right.
probably like the three right there at the corner of Warren and Pulaski are pretty much the worst. So those would be removed. We'd plant new trees in their place, and then we'd add a few more throughout the park. I'm thinking probably, depending on nursery availability and pricing, which has been challenging because of the drought, somewhere probably around 10 trees.
Any other
You got that
questions?
fence, you know that fence that goes behind where the splash pad is?
Yep.
Can trees go behind there?
On the opposite side, that's the ball field. I don't know if we want to mess around with that, but we can certainly do something. You know, I was thinking we could put one near the bench that's at the splash pad to provide some kind of shade for sitting there, but wouldn't interfere with the splash pad.
By the time it lifts the splash pad,
I
I'll be
would
gone.
say
Yeah.
to Mr. Pirano,
So by the
and
time the roots lift the
Listen,
splash
I've been
pad.
waiting 3 years for my canopy.
I would say as Mr. Pirano and Mrs. Smith work together on the best spots for the trees.
Yeah.
Because he's the tree expert and she is the expert of the parks where things are planted, where pipes are running and sprinklers and everything else, so we don't have nothing broken afterwards. So,
Motion to grant permission for the
our two
alternate
directors to
tree
work together.
planting and planting trees.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Riga. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item O, Mr. Pirano.
Now
Okay.
what does he want?
So, this one you're really not gonna like, but
God.
this is a proposal for master planning for the cemetery. I know we've just completed, or we're near the completion of the expansion, but I strongly feel that the cemetery needs to have a master plan for a number of reasons. One, to make sure that we don't get ourselves into a position where we've got a year and a half to find burial space, or we're gonna close down. Two, to make sure that we're being efficient in the use of our space and planning appropriately. And three, making sure that our perpetual care funds are in a position where they can support the cemetery moving forward. So this master plan would be comprehensive. The proposal is from the same group that has designed our expansion. So they've already done a lot of the legwork, if you will, the groundwork, of some of the mapping that needs to be done as part of a proposal such as this. So I'm of the opinion that this has reduced the cost of this master plan by using the same company. They would go through, do a field survey of the existing conditions of the cemetery, provide the cemetery and the park board a roadmap of the most pressing maintenance concerns. They would also evaluate open spaces in the cemetery that would be very easy to start selling as new grave space. Predominantly, that would consist of historic infill graves. So they'd help us identify places in the cemetery that are historic, that can be sold as, for the lack of a better term, premium grave space, to offer an option to families that maybe want something a little more special and unique that they couldn't get in our expansion or in the other cemeteries in and around Fall River. So those would be priced appropriately, and help us, there'd be a low cost to develop those and then help us build up our perpetual care funds. And then there's about another 8 acres of open space that haven't been utilized at all, mainly the woodlands along like the Locust Street side of the cemetery. So they would investigate that area, come up with a few different options for burial space in there, and then also plan out how that would come to fruition. Part of that, I know, just from going in there myself, is there's going to have to be some infill, filling in holes and kind of leveling space out. So in the discussions with the group, with BSC Group, part of the master plan is how to do that in a cost-effective way, making sure that we actually have a long-term plan. And part of that is every time we dig a grave, there's excess dirt that we have to dispose of. Right now, we're stockpiling it. At some point, we're going to have to pay to offload it. If we know exactly where we're going in the future, we can actually start moving that excess dirt into those locations instead of paying for disposal, and then eventually, instead of paying to bring in fill, to fill in those areas. So this really gives a full master plan that should be, the roadmap for the cemetery long after all of us are no longer involved. And I think this is the time to do it because we're not up against a time crunch to find the next burial space. We've done that. This is the next big piece that I think needs to happen. The cost is $52,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but if we were to put this off, we're gonna run into a situation where we paid $72,000 for design work and almost $1 million in construction to develop the space we have. This gives us the roadmap. We can start chewing it, little bits at a time. If we can add some money into our operating budget to tackle some of these maintenance concerns that they raise, it at least gives us the roadmap of where to go.
Where would the $52,000 come from?
My suggestion would be perpetual care.
I'm sorry.
Perpetual care.
Here we go,
Thank you.
perpetual care again.
So my philosophy on perpetual care, and
The
I
city
think
don't pay for why don't the city pay for the master plan?
the city pays for the day-to-day operation of the cemetery. If you look at private cemeteries, the Catholic cemeteries, what drives their operation, their day-to-day operation, are the deposits into perpetual care and the money they make off of selling the lots. The city does not take any of the money that we make from selling these lots. They go into these two separate accounts. So 100% of the fee of the lot that is sold is controlled by this board. 50% goes into perpetual care, 50% goes into sale of lots. That money is supposed to be used for the maintenance
And upkeep.
and upkeep of the cemetery. However, that is not the case. The city provides our budget, both for the manpower and for our expenses, our general operating expenses, on a yearly basis from the taxpayer,
And
from
and
the
equipment.
general account. Right, and they are purchasing all of our equipment. Since I've been here, we've never come to this board and asked the board to purchase equipment, which would be to maintain the cemetery, to cut the grass. All of that stuff is funded through the city's general fund monies. To the tune of, I mean, our operating expenses are about $90,000 this year. Our salaries are somewhere around, I don't know, 300,000. So the city is spending a significant amount of money to operate the cemetery. Perpetual care is supposed to be for these items. The best thing to do for Oak Grove to maintain it is keep it open and active. We have seen what happens when a cemetery becomes inactive. It ends up being like North Burial Ground, which is unfortunate. There's not enough money there to do all the things that need to be done. The cemetery staff goes down there as best we can, as often as we can, to maintain that cemetery. But that's what happens when it's no longer active. We see it in the news in Cranston and other places that cemeteries are no longer active, they're no longer cared for as well as they were when they're active. The best thing we can do to maintain the graves and the burial sites of the people that are already there is to keep it active for as long as possible. That's my thought. I think that's the thought of a lot of people that I've spoken with, including BSC Group that does a lot of consulting for cemeteries. They've worked on a lot of these projects. The best thing to do is keep it open and active.
No, question for you. Speaking of North Burial, is there any land down there that we could develop or no?
It's, I think the answer is no,
Okay.
because of how old the cemetery is. The burial,
I was ashamed the way.
Processes were
maybe
different.
active again a little bit to get something going down there.
there may be an opportunity if we wanted to visit like columbariums and things like that down there. But I think the condition of the cemetery probably wouldn't lend to our ability to sell those.
When do you have to have an answer for this? Is there a timeline on this?
This quote is good for 30 days,
It's good for 30 days. And when did we get this?
August 20th.
I'm just saying is because I can't second anything. And I'm not sure if my good friend here, Mrs. Rigo, would second.
No, if she don't make a motion, it don't pass.
Yeah, so that's why I'm
it's-
wondering if we want to table this when we have a full quorum.
I mean, the other option is to take the money out of the sale of lots. They're basically the same money. Perpetual care is for the maintenance of the cemetery. Again, typically, most cemeteries are using it to cut the grass. We don't take care of headstones. That is not a perpetual care item because those are still personal property.
Yep.
All we do is we give them a permit to install a foundation and to leave a headstone on the grave. Those are personal property. Any work that we've done on headstones is through volunteer time, or we have some downtime in the cemetery and the staff can work on some of these things. I guess my question to Commissioner Rigo is, what would we use perpetual care money for, if not for these types of things?
Take care of the graves.
How?
Sorry, that's it.
So
Just not-
are we taking money out to pay staff to cut the grass? We're gonna burn through that in 2 years if that's how we use it.
Yep.
Less than 2 years.
Seems every time you wanna do something, it's perpetual care.
For the
Every time you wanna do something, it's perpetual care.
for the big
There's gotta be
projects,
some,
but
there's gotta be another way.
I've never come down here for equipment. We have purchased, since I've been there, I have turned over every single piece of equipment the cemetery has. The city has invested $12,000 additional into my budget every year that I've been here to purchase a new lawnmower every year. I don't know if Nancy could speak to the same thing in the parks, but
No.
I've
I'd like to
advocated
know
for
who you
that.
know.
I've advocated for that, and the city has provided us that funding to do that. We have not come to the cemetery, we have not come to the park board to ask for the equipment. All new leaf blowers, all new weed whackers, all of that stuff is covered under the operating budget. Our staffing, again, is covered under the operating budget. All the grass cutting, all of the new loom and seed that takes care of the graves is paid for out of our operating budget. Again, these are typical perpetual care expenses that the city is picking up. I think the best thing to do with perpetual care money, and we've talked about this from all the other projects that have come down here, is to use perpetual care for these larger projects that keep the cemetery active. At some point, Oak Grove Cemetery is not going to be able to accommodate any new burials. At that point, the city is going to turn its attention to a new burial space and move the entire staff to that operation. And then Oak Grove Cemetery is at the whim of when that staff can go back and take care of the 100+ acres at Oak
Turns
Grove
into the new North
and the
Burial.
40+ acres at North Burial, and we've seen what happens.
St.
This is a
Valentine's
historic
and everything else.
cemetery that's on the National Register. This, I think, is the best way to respect that and keep it open and active for as long as possible. And the only way to get perpetual care dollars to where they need to be is to develop a new grave space. This $52,000 is going to identify a bunch of new grave space that for all that I have been able to learn about cemetery operations, I do not have the technical wherewithal to develop an 8-acre plot of land. I don't know if there's anybody in the city that has that expertise in developing an 8-acre parcel of burial space. I've done what I can, which was the development of, I think, 79 burial spaces that we did in-house. We added 12 additional double grave lots to an already existing lot. So we have come up with creative ways to add this stuff, add inventory, but we can't, 8 acres is just outside of the scope of what we should be technically responsible for. And I mean technically as far as like the technical design portion. We're responsible for it, but should be left to the experts.
How much money do we have in sale of lots again?
Sale of lots is 448,000 minus the 4,000 we just used to fix the
444.
wall. So 444,000, and perpetual care is at 723,000. 723,000 is not enough
No.
in perpetual care. It's not.
No.
But the only way to get that built up is to have burial space to sell. So right now, our most expensive grave is $3,200. So for every grave we sell, we'll put $1,600 into perpetual care at that price. What this is going to do is it's going to develop some new burial space that I think we can sell for more than $3,200. It's not going to be for everybody, but the new space is. The new space is economical, in line with other municipal cemeteries, in line or cheaper than the Catholic cemeteries. But that doesn't mean we should exclude ourselves from having options for people who want something different that they can't get elsewhere. Oak Grove Cemetery, you can't go to St. Patrick's or Notre Dame and have the same historic feel that you have in the historic section of Oak Grove. If you want that, you're gonna have to go to Forest Hills or Mount Auburn in Boston, and at that point, you're spending $100,000 on a burial plot. So we can develop lots in here at $5,000 a piece, and we sell 10 of them, and it pays for this whole master plan. And the other thing I'll add is everything we've come down for and asked for out of perpetual care, we've come with the finances to show that we will not only pay back that money, but add additional monies to perpetual care. So the $960,000 expansion, the earnings, when all of that is sold at its current prices, if we don't have any price changes, will be over $3 million. So we spend some money, yes, but more money is gonna go back in. The same thing is true here. I don't know what the exact figures are, because we don't know exactly how many burial spaces we're going to yield, but, I mean, I can almost give you a personal guarantee that we're gonna make $52,000 back on the new lots that will be developed out of this plan.
Now, you said it's broken up 2 ways. Do we have that power to change that, or no? Is that-
Well, I think you do, but it's gonna be through an ordinance.
It would have to be through
Okay.
some type
I was
of
gonna say
mechanism,
is,
but yeah,
since you
can
said
change-
perpetual doesn't have enough, if we took it out of sale of lots, if this
No,
area.
he's saying it doesn't have enough to maintain the life of the cemetery, but it's not
No.
gonna do you any good by putting 75.
75-25.
You're better off with the 50-50, because
Right.
at least you can, the sale of lots doesn't always
No,
go.
I was gonna
Some of the
say-
things that you can buy from sale of lots,
No,
not
what I was
necessarily
gonna say
perpetual care.
was, rather than, if we take it out of sale of lots, and we know we're gonna make this money back, is I would just put the whole 100 into perpetual care to build it back up. I don't know if
So
we can do that.
I don't, I mean, these are things that I
Because
can
we're
get
gonna
answers
make,
to, but I don't know
we're
the
gonna
answers
make
are
with
right
that
now.
new expansion money for sales of lots, that's what I'm saying.
No, you're
No,
gonna
the new
split it.
so
It
the
splits it.
3 million will
No, I
take
know.
in, 1.5 will go to perpetual care, 1.5 will go to sale of lots.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying is this part right here, to try to sell it point, is
Right.
to help out perpetual care.
I think that.
For all intents and purposes, the funds are, the discretion is at the board of how to spend both of these funds. So what you pay out of one,
Doesn't
the
matter.
board can decide to pay out of the other, and vice versa. Most cemeteries are just, again, the for-profit cemeteries, the non-municipal cemeteries, and maybe even some municipal cemeteries are going to deposit a certain percentage into perpetual care, and then the balance will go to their operation.
Yep.
I don't know, but there are instances where a municipal cemetery could say, all right, we'll put 75% into perpetual care, and the other 25% will go to the general fund to cover the operation of the cemetery from the general fund. There are places where that, I don't know of specific examples, but one could assume that it could do that, instead of dictating that 100% of the money stays under the control of the park board.
My suggestion would be that this 50-50 has worked for a number of years.
I'm just saying is.
No, I understand.
I'm trying to
but
sell this thing.
The point is, the point is, and what, I agree with Chris, you have to spend money to make money.
Exactly.
That's normal, that's in
That's
everything you
normal
do in
in
life.
life.
And
Exactly.
eventually, the money coming out of perpetual care is going to be reimbursed to perpetual care threefold,
Right. It's like taking out a loan.
and giving yourself the interest.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see any alternative. I mean,
Yep.
it needs to be done. We can't shut the cemetery down
No.
at this point.
My only thing is where
I,
the money, Commissioner Rigo, if it comes out of perpetual care, are you in favor of this or no?
No.
No. So, then it dies.
What
So
about
if it
a
comes
sale of
out of,
lots?
if it comes out of sale of lots, are you in favor of this? Are you in favor if it comes out of sale of lots?
Not coming out of perpetual care.
Okay. So then, I need a motion.
make a motion, we take it out of, sale of lots to 52,000 to pay for the, master plan, the BSC group.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made that motion to take $52,000 out of out of sale of lots for the BSC group for Oak Grove Cemetery, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Morano.
Aye.
Chris?
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Back next month for perpetual care again.
You just need a motion to go back to your
No,
regular
I know,
order.
I know.
You're on D.
Yeah, I know.
Make a
I'm just-
motion to go back to D.
Yep. Your motion to go back to items D.
Yep.
Commissioner Sylvia made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so item D is a request from Tufts Health Food Distribution Event at Griffin Park, 4th Street, originally requested for October 19th, 10 to 4, changed to November 2nd, 2022, from 10 to 4.
Is a date change?
That's it.
The date change, yep.
Motion to grant permission, a date change.
Second.
Well, we gotta.
Well, you have to
get-
grant
we get
permission, but
permission to
they
do
haven't,
their event.
They never got the original event,
Yeah.
but I
Oh,
wanted,
okay.
it was in your
Yeah.
packet originally as this.
They
so
called
I didn't
back
wanna
and said
confuse
that they-
anybody. It's the same event.
I
They
make a
just
motion
prefer
that
to
we
do
grant
it.
permission with the date change.
Second.
Hey, Commissioner Sylvia made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Rego. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item E is a request from the Fall River Youth Soccer for a permit at Britland Park Field, Wardell Street. This is for fall ball registration at Friday night games, scheduled travel and soccer team, starting.
Well, that's their games. They
Oh,
want
sorry,
the
I'm
same
sorry,
permits
yeah.
that they have
Yep.
on Wednesdays,
Friday.
Monday, Tuesday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but those are their games.
Okay.
I work with the various leagues to try to accommodate games. Durfee is now in our fields, as you know, so that, we just try to work out the best we can with still leaving some free time for people that are not involved with these leagues, so we need to leave the field open. So I do my best to do that, so.
Grant permission.
All right, Commissioner Rego made the motion to grant permission for the fall registrations for their permits for review soccer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item F, request from the FC Men's Soccer League regarding game dates and fall permits at Britland Park, Wardell Street.
New dates or same dates?
Same days, they sent in some games again. I'll try to work around everybody and we accommodate games first,
Practices secondary.
practices after that. But again, trying to keep some free time for the public.
Make a motion to grant permission.
Make a
So it's
motion.
basically extending their permit from spring to fall.
Commissioner Rego made that motion to grant the permission to get their fall permits, and seconded by
Me.
Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just a quick note, just to let other commissioners know, I know, like Mrs. Smith brought up that Durfee's using our fields and that now too. I think what we need to do is in the future, the city needs to come up with a game plan when they decide to expand schools and renovate schools, because my understanding is Diamond's gonna be approaching us shortly.
Yep.
When they take away their fields to build a brand school, and they're not gonna have their fields for a few years. So,
I've said that for 2 years.
I think what should have been done is, unfortunately, is when they built the Durfee football field originally, they had all away games. And they used other towns and that to have the fields and that, because it's only gonna be a certain amount of time that we can let everybody use fields. if we have all the leagues going on.
I've echoed that for
Yep.
the last couple of years. I mean, you know, they're building new schools and they always react to things and not be proactive about it. They knew they were building a new school, they were gonna have to use that land, and they did nothing about it, and then the last minute they come to us
Yep.
looking for answers. And again, you know, overuse of fields is what kills them, and with, like, as Nancy said, she's trying to work with everybody, but there's only so much to go on. I yield.
So do I have a motion? Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, that was that. I was just, no. Item G.
Just so you know, this is a new league. They're asking for permission for Travassos. They're asking for it with lights. I already have people there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The lights at Travassos, I mean, this is getting to be a situation where everybody wants lights at night for practice. We never used to allow practice under lights. If you recall, we used to allow games under lights. So, I'd have to ask this gentleman if different days work. I don't know how the board feels about lighting.
I don't think we should,
For adult leagues now.
as past practice for any league.
Well, I don't know if this is an adult league, I think it's
Yeah.
kids.
Okay.
As Nancy said, we've, in the past, have not allowed practice
No.
on the lights.
But things get out of hand, and, I mean, we had people come here and say, how did they get out of hand? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So.
My
and it-
thing is this, we don't even know if this organization's local, do we?
I think he had, half of his team was from Fall River.
Okay.
But I think it's a team, so I probably really need to find out if it's who they're, I did ask who they're associated with, and that's where it came to this, Fall River Navigators. But,
New England
I can ask for
New
New
England.
England Navigators, I can find out more information if you
According to
like.
his request, the form says New England Navigators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
New England, that's what he corrected me.
Yep.
Joey corrected me. It says possibly in need of lights.
Yep.
We can say, you know, if you wanna use the field on this day and this day without lights, we can allow you to use it, if that's what the board's.
Yeah, my question is this person that filled out this form,
Well, it says that, would you like to post your league's information, and it says East Taunton, Mass.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what I was just
290
gonna bring
Merritt, that's
that
how I
up.
was just to read that.
so, I mean, if they're from East Taunton,
There must be a reason why they're coming to Fall River, because maybe East Taunton's charging them,
That's a good reason.
so.
well, again, I just made a statement about overuse. If they're not from this community, I'm sorry, I won't support this.
Well, I think I said that, did I say
second
9
it.
and 6, or what, there's 8 and 6 kids, so it's a team, it's a team that probably wants to practice here. Now, is Commissioner De Silva right? They're practicing here because it's for free?
Absolutely.
My guess would be 99.9, yeah. But that's something, again, we've been talking about that with this board forever. I'm gonna retire, and you people are still gonna be talking about this.
Might be a bunch of new people.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
We might not be here
Make a motion to reject,
to
deny.
reject, deny.
second,
Commissioner Eagle made that motion to deny, and seconded by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Item H, request from John Patello, extension of permits at Kennedy Park ball field lights in
Sandlot.
Fall Ball and Sandlot League. This is a annual.
Yeah,
event.
this happens every year. Technically, I would be able to do this and extend these permits myself. It's just a courtesy to the board.
Yep. And I know Mr. Patello reached out to me. He wanted to be here, but he had a prior engagement. So, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rigo, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item I. Request from Christopher Farrington, October 1st Halloween giveaway and basketball event at Kennedy Park, Middle Street.
I emailed this gentleman for more information. I gave him my phone number. I asked for his phone number. I never heard back. I did explain in my email that there was fees and liability insurances for events like this, so I don't know if he's still interested, but I never heard back from him.
If you guys can read what it was about, it's looking to run an October 1st event or day in October that is prior to Halloween. The idea to hold this event at Kennedy Park. The event will have adult basketball tournament, free costume to give away to kids, pre-Halloween themed snacks, and free pumpkins to give away for kids and the families to paint, decorate, or carve them. The event will be starting at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But I think if you ever want to have an event, in my opinion, you come to a spot board to explain like the rest of these individuals.
I agree, and Mr. Smith reached out to him and he hasn't
Yep.
responded.
Yep.
Maybe he's not interested anymore.
He didn't respond.
Yep.
He didn't respond, right? Make a motion to deny.
Motion to deny by Commissioner Rigo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. J. Item J, request from the Fall River Diocese to use the use of Kennedy Park Drive, South Main Street for their annual candlelight procession to be held early evening on October 10th, 2022.
Motion to grant permission.
This is an annual
Second.
event, yep. Motion to grant permission by Commissioner Sylvia, all, seconded by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item K.
This was a
I need-
tabled item, you're gonna lift it from the
Yep,
table.
that's what I was just about to say. Thank you. Thank you.
Motion
Mr.
to
Smith.
lift it from the table.
Okay, motion to lift it from the table, from Commissioner Sylvia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item K, request from Jack Hackett for October 15th and 16th tournament at Father Kelly Park.
The reason the board tabled this was because they wanted to see if they got any feedback from the original tournament. I have not heard anything back. I think they wanted to see what happened at one before they granted the other.
I wasn't here at that meeting, so it was you guys.
You haven't heard back from him?
No, I haven't heard any
back if there was any
complaints. I didn't
complaints
want, you
from
know,
the
any
August tournament
feedback.
that
I
you
haven't
guys
heard any
had.
complaints from the August 27, 28. No one called the office or said anything, so I'm assuming it went smoothly. That was what the board wanted to assure before they voted on a second tournament.
Well, if we haven't heard anything, then we grant permission.
Commissioner Rigo wants to make a motion to grant permission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, John. Oh, no, you got the
No.
last one.
Yep, I got the last one. Item P is a copy of a resolution that was adopted by the City Council for $325,000 appropriation for Kennedy Park Skating Rink. I know the council approved this, but I think this is up in the air still, my understanding. So I would just have one of you guys make a recommendation, is just place this on file.
Place it on file.
Commissioner Rigo made that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any commissioner inquiries?
I was too tired.
Okay. All right. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn. Commissioner Sylvia made that motion. Second by Commissioner Rigo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have a good night.